All right, Jeff Keighley, you had your fun. Now it's time for the Slice of Gaming podcast. Welcome. I am your host, Moonlight150, and joining me tonight after Summer Game Fest is the Uncharted Wolf,
Happy to be here.
Dark,
Hey, how's it going?
and Bench.
Happy to be here.
We're still missing Fusion. He's still on his mandatory paid leave. Or wait, are we even paying him? Does anyone know?
Oh, crap.
Okay, I
You guys
guess
are
no.
getting
So we're here to talk about the wrap up of Summer Game Fest, as well as some other news articles that have come out in the past week underneath the hype of Summer Game Fest. So be sure to like and subscribe. Just a little reminder that we are on YouTube and Spotify currently, with plans to expand to others later. But I think that is all the introductory stuff. Yeah, and not only that, but we'll also, the big chunk of this episode will be the Xbox Showcase predictions. So hope you guys are ready for that. But until we get to that, let's go over the news and some wrap ups of Summer Game Fest with Wolf.
Thank you for jumping it over to me. Yeah, we had a pretty busy news week. Not surprisingly, this very much is the not E3 week. Which, just side note, Jeff Keighley really wants to call this Summer of Gaming, but everyone just calls it not E3, which is kind of the
Not
funniest thing in the world to me.
Or Key 3, some people call it,
Yeah.
which I find kind of funny.
Yeah,
Everybody
it's just like nobody calls it Summer of Gaming. It's just, I don't know. I feel bad for Jeff in that regard, but hey, he's trying. Obviously, the first big topic, we got to talk about Summer Games Fest. The show was on Thursday. I would assume most people tuned into it, and I guess I would just want to immediately let you ask you guys what you thought of it. Moon, what is your overall thoughts on Summer Games Fest?
Well, it's interesting that you went to me first because I actually didn't watch it. I was at work, unfortunately, because why are you having a show on a Thursday in the middle of the day? Pacific Standard Time. Like I'm in the same time zone of where they had it. So why are you doing that? I guess for all the East Coasters. So I only caught like the first maybe hour or so before I had to go back into work. So I saw like the Mortal Kombat gameplay and a little bit after that before I just shut off. I mean, it was like typical Jeff Keighley. I always have a problem with him doing interviews. Like these interviews never add anything. So those were always pointless. But it seems like he got a pretty decent lineup. Like I've watched most of the trailers. I haven't watched all of them because just some games just didn't interest me. But he got a pretty decent lineups of just looking at the breakdown here um, of games. So props to him for getting a good lineup this year. And I got a couple highlights. I think we're saving the highlights for later. So we'll just move on to
I'll
who
go right
else.
over them. Dark, what about you?
I thought it was okay for the most part. I wasn't too fond of it. Honestly, those interviews killed it for me. I think he drags them out way too long, and like Moon said, they do absolutely nothing for me. But yeah, he had a couple of hits here and there. But besides that, it's alright. Another Keighley showcase.
Bench, we were talking about it. I know you're actually pretty high on it. How do you feel overall about Summer Games Fest?
Yeah, I was pretty high on it even before Rebirth showed up, but it was a great, easily the best Summer Game Fest he's had. While the interviews are not great most of the time, I enjoyed, especially like the Nick Cage one. I thought that was pretty good. And I thought the pacing was decent compared to past shows, and overall I'm pretty high on it.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I guess in my regard, I thought it was an okay show. I'm kind of more so with Dark, his highlight viewpoint of the show, where there were definitely some good announcements, some cool things, but I think Keighley, you got to trim those down. You don't need that many announcements, and especially you don't need these interviews. They don't add much. I think in the case of Ed Boon, where he actually was explaining the game, there was gameplay shown in the background. I'm all for that, but Nick Cage, that was also a fun moment. But I think especially with the Marvel Snap guy, like that just didn't really add anything to the showcase. And same
Wait,
with
he was
Alan
there?
Wake too. Yeah, apparently he was there. He just said, "Yeah, guys, Marvel Snap, that's still a game." And I think they showed a DLC expansion pack for it.
No,
It's
they
just
didn't even do that. I don't think they just showed a random
Told-
skit.
He
it's
told
just
Jeff
a
he
weird
sucks.
situation.
Yeah, he just told Jeff he sucks. Showed a random skit and left. It made no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the. We'll get into highlights and lowlights in a minute, but like I guess overall, I think this is pretty much the same quality as every Summer Games Fest. I don't really have much else to think about. I guess now we'll actually move right into highlights. Moon, what do you think was your big highlights, despite not watching the show live?
I think it's gonna be like a lot of people. It's gonna be the Rebirth trailer, and I will say the Mortal Kombat 1 trailer actually did more sell me on the game. Like, and I knew that was gonna happen. Like, I don't know if you remember my comments when the CGI trailer came out 2 weeks ago. I was like, this does absolutely nothing for me because I want to see gameplay. And as I figured, seeing actual gameplay sold me more on the game. I'm like, okay, maybe I actually will get this. But I just know I'm telling myself this, and then once September rolls around, I'm probably not going to because the dedication to get into a fighting game is just too much for me these days.
Mhm.
But I'll be very excited to watch, Maximilian Dude and other people stream it. But besides that, it's gonna be cool seeing that not unwind, but like developed, got all the character releases. I always love the lead up to a fighting game release where we get teases of character announcements and all that. That's always fun for me. And of course, Rebirth looks absolutely phenomenal. Other highlights, Spider-Man 2. I think we'll talk about this later, but the whole debacle with the Spider-Man 2 being here and at the showcase. Liza P is always good. Sandland looked interesting. I want to look more into that, and I guess that's about it. We're only doing highlights, right? Not doing lowlights.
Yeah. I just wanted a singular highlight from you. You just went
Okay.
through the whole showcase. Thank you, man.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
real. Nah, no worries. Mortal Kombat, though, I actually wanted to talk a little bit about that real quick. I'm also, like you, not really the biggest Mortal Kombat fan. My favorite thing is just looking up all the fatalities on YouTube whenever that comes out. Dark, I know you're the Mortal Kombat guy. How do you feel about it?
My viewpoint stays the same, and even more so now. I think the game looks goofy. I'm not a fan of the art direction or where they're going with the story so far. And the whole thing with the cameo characters is really concerning. I know that Ed Boon said that. So pretty much cameo characters act as the assist character, more or less. And the way that it works is that you pick the assist character and then this, that, the third. You know how it goes. There are some characters, according to Ed Boon, that are both cameo and playable characters, but that also makes it
Yeah.
feel like that there might be characters that are cameos that you won't be able to play as. And from the list, we've seen that there are classic characters in the cameo list, which is really concerning. That you have like these fan favorite characters that you can't play as, but they're stuck as an assist.
Yeah. I think at the very least it'll be like the original like cast of Mortal Kombat 1. I think you will be able to play as like Kano, Sonya. Even though we only saw them as cameos, I do think they're actually going to be
Hopefully,
playable
but
characters. Yeah, hopefully.
also
You never
the
know.
art direction is a little bit too realistic. I'm just not a big fan of
Yeah,
the way
that's
it's
the
done.
part. I'm surprised about that. I'm a fan of the art style, especially
I'm a
just
fan of
the
the art
stages.
style. The stages are
Those
absolutely
stages are
gorgeous.
beautiful.
The stages
I
are nice.
can-
I just don't like the way like the character models look. Like Johnny Cage he's not even recognizable unless you know.
Yeah, it's a very
him
different face
from,
structure now.
Yeah,
like, the
didn't they say
previous games.
John Claude Van Damme is playing Johnny Cage? I
He's
forget.
playing a skin of Johnny Cage.
He's
Oh,
also
gotcha.
gonna be a cameo character, I believe. I could be wrong on that.
I don't think. I think he's just
I
a skin
haven't
for
looked
Johnny
into it.
Cage.
I mean, I think it looks good. I obviously we don't know everything until the game comes out. Like Moon, I'm also really excited to see like what characters get in, what characters don't. You think this will be a game that focuses more on like the classic characters, or do you think they really want to start
Yeah, because
introducing like, new characters?
this is definitely a start over in multiple ways. So they're just gonna keep the cast pretty basic. And granted, they've done this before where they'll show like a empty roster at the beginning when first game's first reveal and be like, okay, here's your roster, and then there's like 20 slots, but then the end game actually has like 24 characters. Like you can never trust Ed Boon and the people at NetherRealm to give accurate information on those kinds of things. So I haven't counted how many slots were shown during that preview, but I'm pretty sure that's not the actual final roster. Same goes with like the cameos.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it's going to be much smaller. Like I would have to look and see how many characters were in the final initial roster for like Mortal Kombat X and 11. I'm gonna guess it's going to be smaller.
Oh yeah, for sure. I guess moving on from Mortal Kombat, Dark, what was your big highlight from the presentation?
Honestly, for me, the one that caught me by surprise, but I didn't think this was like in the works or anything. Sonic Superstars came out of nowhere. New classic Sonic game, and it looks incredible. I feel like they learned a lot from the Mania team. I believe this is like the main primary Sonic team doing this one. Hopefully, it's good. I mean, I might.
Yeah, no, I think it looks great. How do you feel about that $60 price tag? I've seen a lot of discussion about that.
I don't really. It's a fucking Sega game. I don't know what you guys expect.
Too high.
I'd rather it be $60 than $70. That's the alternative.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
we do know Steam is trying to transition it to 70, but like I think they want to stick with 60 on this one. I think the thing about this, a lot of people were comparing it to Metroid Dread. It's like, well, Metroid Dread was 70 or 60, and a lot of people were fine with it. I think Sonic games are just a lot shorter, and I think that's why a lot of people are more apprehensive to the $60 price tag. Is that the usual Sonic game are like 5 hours at
Yeah,
max.
but this is now a very
So it
modern
depends.
classic game, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty on the longer side.
I hope so.
Yeah,
think
it depends,
should
and
be
they added a
cheaper.
lot of characters, which adds replayability, of course. But not everybody does that. Most people just play as Sonic and go through it. I can see a lot of people waiting for it to go on sale to $30, but for diehard Sonic fans, I don't think there'll be an issue whatsoever.
Oh yeah, for the diehards, they're like those Sonic fans. They'll pick it up no matter what. I'm a very casual Sonic fan. I'm not actually as big on the 2D games, but I do agree with this game. Looks absolutely beautiful. I'm
Yeah.
tempted to pick it up, but that definitely does look like a Black Friday deal for me personally. I guess Bench, your big highlight. I feel like I already know what it is, but just go off, bud.
FF7 Rebirth is absolutely my highlight. Now my most anticipated game. Everything from the trailer was amazing. I mean, it had everything you wanted in a trailer, like story, cinematics. You had gameplay that looked great. There was honestly like no flaws about the trailer with what it showed. And comparing everything, I mean, the story is going to be absolutely nuts as it's diverting from the original FF7 game because it's technically like a sequel and alternate timeline stuff. Tifa maybe being dead or something. It's just going to be balls to the walls crazy. I don't know what to expect when I get my hands on it in early next year.
I think we're all big FF7 remake fans, or at least I know Dark, you're a bit more apprehensive to this game. How did you think about the trailer?
I thought from a gameplay perspective, right, from like just it being a game, the game looks good, runs smooth, combat looks nice. When it comes to the story, however, I think they're doing too much. I know Bench mentioned it, but this is diverting somewhat from the original game. I'm just not a fan of the direction that they're taking personally, but we'll see what they do. I'll still keep up to date with it, of course.
I think it being an
Yeah,
open world game is going to be pretty interesting overall, considering FF15 was an open world game and I wasn't that big of a fan of that game, but hopefully it's different teams, so hopefully they nail this with open world, because it's kind of like I saw Maximilian Dude in a video talk about how like in original FF7 you have Midgar, and then you go outside of Midgar and it's this whole big world, so they're trying to replicate that feeling with the second game, which is very cool.
Have they said it's open world?
They haven't quite said it's open world, but the words they're using are big, vast, and expansive. It's going to be open world.
I don't know. I feel like they
think
could just say open zone.
Yeah, open
I
zone.
think
seems more likely.
FF16 is the open zone game, while this is the full open world game, seamless.
I don't know.
See, I don't know if they would
There's
get
also
an open world game
So
ready in like 4 years.
yeah.
I mean, I would be fine with either open zone or open world. I wish they would say something about that.
Nah, instead you get 2 discs.
Yeah, the 2
Two
discs. I
discs.
wanted to point that out. So an interesting thing I learned. I was shout out to Spawnwave. He actually pointed this out. PS5 discs are about 100 gigabytes. They can store up to 100 gigabytes. We could be looking at a 200 gigabyte game. That's
It's probably gonna
pretty
be like
hefty.
120, 130, if that's the
Yeah,
case.
no, but I see. I more so mean like that's its limit at that point, which is pretty interesting. The thing is, though, if it's 120, I feel like you would just do an update. You wouldn't go ahead and do a whole nother disc. That's kind of my thing.
Going back to the open world part, I found a quote from the producer saying the vast and explorable world, along with the very newly evolved speedy battles, are sure to provide a most exciting experience to new adventures. So I think it's kind of leaning into a more open world setting for sure.
Well, so it's the same thing we've said before. This vast explorable world, like that could still mean open zone.
Yeah, more or
Yeah,
less.
nothing for me, huh? You got real silent after that one. Moon, I know. Oh, go ahead, Dick.
Oh yeah, I was just saying. I don't really know if I'm promoting that this is 2 discs, but they're like really going heavy with this. I don't know if that's a good thing to be promoting.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to make it a meme, and I don't know if it's working.
I think it's more of a homage kind of to the past, like you had with very older Final Fantasy games, so that you had to like tons of discs for them.
That's a weird homage. Just like, hey guys, remember when you had to switch discs?
I also think it's like telling you how kind of setting expectations for how big the game is going to be, because this
I
game
don't
is
think
going to
so.
be absolutely massive.
Like, I feel like this could very well be a situation where one of the discs is a download disc. They will
Yeah,
do
that's what
some type of
that's
crap
what I
like that.
think.
That's
it
what
is.
7 Remake did. It was a download disc.
Exactly. I mean, it could be a situation where it's like, look at Call of Duty games. Like, they're not that massive, but like they take up like 200 gigabytes
Yeah,
because
they do it
they're
on
just
purpose.
not optimized well.
Well,
Exactly. They're not
yeah,
optimized.
Call of Duty is just not optimized well, but I think this is still going to be. I mean, you had Jedi Survivor also be like 150 gigabyte game. I assume 4K textures and everything. I still think it'll easily be way bigger than 7 Remake, because even for JRPG standards, that was a smaller title.
I mean, hey, I'm interested to see how it turns out. I was a big fan of 7 Remake, and this trailer, pretty much, I'm at the exact same level of excitement where I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to play the game. I'm interested to see where the story goes. I do love those characters. I guess to move into a more negative thing, what were you guys' like lowlights of the presentation? Moon, again, you weren't there for the Oh, actually, I need to go over my highlight. I forgot. I'm sorry about that, boys. I guess my big highlight was just a small thing, that Prince of Persia game. I thought that game looked great. I see a lot of people very much negative on it online, saying like, "Oh, it's a 2D game. It doesn't look that interesting. It doesn't, it's just not worth it." But to me, I just saw a really fun-looking Metroidvania, with the
Yeah.
Prince of Persia skin. I don't know. How do you guys feel about it?
It's a lot of
Yeah,
2D haters, so the game looked pretty damn good in my opinion.
Yeah, it
I
looked pretty
thought it
good.
looked pretty good. It's not something I'd chill out $60 or $70 for, but it's definitely appealing as a like on sale pickup that I'd pick up, because I do like Metroidvania. Not as big as like Wolf likes them, but they're fun types of
Oh
games.
yeah, that's my genre, baby. Moon, what about you?
Yeah, it looked pretty cool. So I'm definitely interested. I have no attachment to the Prince of Persia franchise, but a cool
Mhm.
Metroidvania is a cool Metroidvania, and as long as it has fun combat, might as well take a gander at it.
Yeah, I'm not really a big Prince of Persia fan either. I always thought the series was kind of gassed up more than it really was. Like, it's a cool series, but it's not that good, guys. Let's be honest with ourselves. But this one's definitely the most interested I've ever been in taking a dive into the franchise. I'm most likely gonna check it out. I think it's definitely looking like. And also, real quick, developed by the Ubisoft Montpellier, which is one of Ubisoft's first studios, the developer of the Rayman games. You're telling me that the Rayman Legends studio is making a Prince of Persia Metroidvania? I'm there 100%, because Rayman Legends is my favorite 2D platformer of all time.
Yeah, I
So
think you can expect the 2D elements to be incredible in this game, if that's the case.
for sure.
I will
Yeah,
say I'm more
really
interested in this Prince of Persia than the Sands of Time remake.
Yeah, no, I mean, Sands of Time at this point, like, where even is that? We'll talk more about it when we go over Ubisoft predictions, but yeah, this is definitely the more appealing looking Prince of Persia game, for lack of a better word. And then I want to shift over right into our lowlights. Moon, of course, you didn't watch the presentation live, but was there anything that kind of stood out to you as kind of being a lowlight?
Obviously, like I said, the interviews are always the low light outside of Ed Boon's, because he actually gave some information. The Nicolas Cage one just kind of said it was just him kind of rambling, him being Nick Cage, like, "Oh yeah, I get to be an actor in a video game. I haven't done this." I was like, "Fine, cool, Nick Cage, you get to be you." And then from what I've heard, I didn't watch anything beyond the Nick Cage interview in terms of the interview, but I'm guessing they all kind of sound the same. It's like, "We've been working so hard on this. Everyone on the team is so proud of our work on this so far." It's like an AI can write most of these interviews. They're just so formulaic. And then besides that, I did catch the Twisted Metal trailer. I don't know if it was the full trailer, but it was like there was a posted clip on Twitter of Sweet Tooth and Anthony Mackie, I guess, singing the thong song.
Oh man,
And
I'm gonna rant about that one. Don't
I
worry.
don't know if that's the full trailer, but that's the clip I saw on Twitter, and that was pretty bad. Not just from a what the fuck is going on kind of standpoint, but also as someone who also pays attention to acting, the fighting and the like slamming each other on the machines and whatnot looks so bad. I was such poor performances in like every regard. So I'll stop ranting. I'll stop the actor will stop
Yeah, I
ranting.
feel you. Yeah, no, that was definitely another low light for me. Dark, what about you? What's your stand low light?
There was the Xbox Porsche thing. So
Yep, I wanted to talk about that one too.
the the collab itself is fine. They just made the ugliest. Like they took a console and made it
Mm-hmm.
fucking ugly. I was like, yo, what happened? There's just stripes. I was like, it was bad.
It was that thing watching the trailer where I'm like, why? I get that it's a console, like it is connected to gaming, but like I felt that they were talking more about Porsche's 75th anniversary than the actual console. It just was not
Yeah, they were.
interesting. To me, this isn't where you advertise something like that. You advertise something like that, on a blog post, a tweet. But they took so much time on the presentation of our times that we were watching live to talk about an Xbox Porsche. It was just a really bad moment in my
Just for
opinion.
it to
I
look
don't know what was
ugly
going
too.
on.
It wasn't even good looking.
Exactly. It didn't even look good. Mitch, what's your biggest lowlight?
Well, Moon did say Twisted Metal, which was one of mine. That looked completely awful. But something that was very small, but like was kind of weird, was the Dead by Daylight, like 30-second to a minute thing, where I don't even remember what they said. It was just kind of like weird and off-putting and completely stopped the pace.
That was
of
Nick
portion of
Cage.
the show.
It was the cage.
Not the Dead by. No, the not Dead by Daylight.
You
The
can do this, Bench.
what was
You
that?
want me to come back to you?
It's the sequel in the series, number 2.
The sequel in the series. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Alan Wake 2?
No.
Oh, that's
y'all,
probably it.
no, y'all come back to me.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Don't worry about it. I tend to forget what happens in these presentations. I guess my biggest low light, you guys alluded to it earlier, the Twisted Metal trailer, but also just the Witcher trailer. This is kind of just a thing in general that I really hate about a lot of gaming conferences. We were complaining very heavily about it with the PlayStation Showcase with the Gran Turismo trailer. This is a video game show. I want to see video games. Don't sell me a movie trailer. Don't sell me a TV show trailer. Sell that on your own time. If I'm attending a video game show, if I'm watching a video game show, I want to see video games. And obviously, I do have a bias against movies. I don't like movies, but I'm willing to watch a trailer. Not at a video game show, though. This is where I want to see the video games. And this is a very common thing with Jeff Keighley, where he just loves showing movies and TVs. And it's like, well, they're related to video games. It's like, okay, but they're not video games. It's just a very frustrating aspect of these shows that I always know is going to come up. It's, I don't know. I'm rambling. I just don't like it. Bench, do you remember what you were talking about?
I do. I actually like the Nick Cage stuff, so what I said before doesn't matter. But the Dying Light 2 thing, like
That's
the
it, yeah.
developer came in for like 30 seconds and kind of like rambled on, and it just completely like stopped the entire pacing of the show and feeling of anything. So I thought that was my pretty big low light.
Yeah, if anything, it was short, but like it definitely just randomly came in, didn't really add much to the presentation. I kind of just went to the restroom during that part, so I don't really remember exactly what happened.
I had never played Dying Light 2, so I'm not sure, but it seemed like he was teasing that the baseball bat was Lucille from The Walking Dead. I don't know if that's the case. It's just from what I saw. That felt like that's what he was teasing, but I'm not sure if they have barbed wire bats in
I think they do.
I think they do.
Okay, but I felt like that's what he was, because he was emphasizing that a lot.
I feel like I get more on Walking Dead collaborations than I do the actual show. At least from what I hear, because that show, I don't know, that show just kind of left the face
when
of the earth
Negan
after
came
a while.
in, I went downhill. But yeah.
I mean, Negan was in Tekken 7. I love playing him in that game, so that's something.
But to add on to your Twisted Metal rant, it's like, yeah, you could make the argument it's it's video game related, but I'm pretty sure they also want to say, the people at Peacock and all the people behind this, obviously, they push for these premieres at showcases and whatnot, because obviously there's a lot of eyes on these showcases. But at the same time, I feel like the common gamer, your people who only buy like COD and FIFA every year, those types of gamers, they're not watching these conferences. They just find random trailers on YouTube, on Twitter, whatever. They're not the people that are going to be watching these conferences and need the push to be promoted to. People who watch these kind of not game show, but like game conferences, they're already deep in the entertainment industry and probably have already known about Witcher and Twisted Metal since like production started. So just to see a trailer at this just because you're trying to spread to an audience, I don't think you surprised anyone at this conference with that trailer. It's like, oh, there's a Twisted Metal series coming out. Like, I don't
Mhm.
think you really got that many compared to the people going, a Twisted Metal trailer at my games conference.
Yeah,
Adding
and I
on to
do want.
the oh my
Oh,
god,
go
for
ahead.
cutting you off. I was gonna say, if you want people to watch your show, maybe make your show look pretty damn like appealing. The Twisted Metal trailer was like
Exactly.
the worst
It
thing
was
I've
terrible.
ever seen. It was bad. I'm like, if you make something good, pretty sure people will watch it and pay attention to it. It's not that hard.
It's so
The
weird because they
trailer
tried to
sucked.
make they made it look like a comedy, and it's like Twisted Metal was never really a comedy
It
series.
wasn't even funny.
Like, the comedy
Exactly.
is supposed to
It's
come
so
from it
weird.
being so weird and gruesome. Like, oh yeah, here's a ice cream truck clown killing people with his car. Like, that's supposed to be the comedy of just how
Dark humor.
obscene the premise is. But no, now you got him singing songs while he's trying to lamely beat up Anthony Mackie. Is like what?
And I do want to mention one of the biggest L's is that restreams of the thing. You know, you're watching your Maximilian dudes, your Asmongold's, like just random Twitch streamers every now and then restreaming the podcast, the conference. They were getting blocked because of these movie trailers, because of Twisted Metal and The Witcher. And it's like, why did Jeff was talking so heavily about, like, you know, restreams are available. Please go ahead and restream our broadcast. We don't care. But then we see that people are getting blocked. Where like a kind of funny had to remove the Twisted Metal reaction from their, like, you know, reaction video, and it's like, you didn't think this through. You didn't think about, like, you didn't contact Universal when setting up your show and say, hey, don't block the people that are like restreaming the broadcast. It's such a strange situation. I don't understand. But
I don't
yeah, I
think
mean,
it gives two shits, to be honest. He probably just said it to get it off his back. He's like, we gotta do it anyway.
it's so weird. I just don't get it. Because, like, usually he's at least like like letting people know about this stuff. He was outright saying you can restream the show, go ahead. But if you restreamed it, you were getting blocked by NBC at Universal. It's like, okay, which one is it, Jeff? So yeah, that's just a we could rant about that one
It was
all
a
day.
mess from beginning to end.
Exactly. I guess I do want to go over some things that maybe we didn't talk too much about. Let's see. Lies of P, that got a date September 19th, a small delay. It was originally August. There was a demo as well. We're going to talk about that more on what we've been playing. We also got Sandland, Akira Toriyama's game. He's going to be doing the art for this, similar to Blue Dragon. Moon, you said you were interested in this one?
Yeah, I watched the trailer. I kind of was just browsing. I think it was IGN's YouTube, just looking at all the trailers from Summer Game Fest, see what caught my eye. And I'm like, I think I saw someone in like Discord mention it, like, oh yeah, Sandland's Akira Toriyama. I'm like, okay, so JRPG. Let me go check this out. It looked interesting. Didn't see really much gameplay on it, but it seemed like a kind of open world-ish kind of game, all desert, kind of like it's pretty much Akira Toriyama's Mad Max almost.
Yeah.
So I mean, interesting, and I'll keep an eye out for it because there's no date given or anything, and not much information. So, but like, I'll keep it on my list and keep an eye out for more information.
Yeah, I have something to say about it. I think it's the Unreal 5 game, I'm pretty sure, just to talk about that.
Yeah.
But also, like, I thought the open world, if it was open world or open area, looked very bland.
Hmm.
I mean,
It
it's a
looked-
desert.
It's a desert, but also, like, looking around, there was not much going on in the desert besides some, like, monsters and stuff, which, I mean, it's obviously the first trailer, but hopefully that
Yeah, I
isn't
mean,
the case when the game releases.
it's one of those things that we're definitely gonna have to wait. There was no date given, so we could
Mhm.
probably tell that this is a bit ways off. I'd say earliest is late 2024.
I
Another
wouldn't even say that. I'd say 2025 is the absolute earliest. I think this is pretty early on.
really, yeah. I mean, I remember hearing stuff about it like when they started development around last year. So probably, yeah. I think your theory is correct. 2025. And then there was another thing I wanted to talk about. Alan Wake 2. Obviously, we were talking about how unneeded that interview was. It was very long, didn't really give us much info that we needed about the game. But the actual gameplay, I thought, looked great. Very similar to a Resident Evil 2 remake. I'm starting to see those Resident Evil 2 remake influences and a lot of modern horror games, and that's exciting to see. Dark, I know you're a big Resident Evil fan. Is Alan Wake doing anything for you?
It caught my interest, but I never played the first one, so I don't have like an attachment to Alan Wake. So I'll definitely take a peek at it when it goes on sale or something like that.
Yeah, it feels like one of those things that they want to kind of make it a very separate game. Like, you don't need to play Alan Wake 1.
Yeah, that's what he
But
said.
even
He said, the guy
Oh,
who did
yeah.
the interview, I forgot his name. He said you don't have to do your homework. He said.
Okay, I'm glad you caught that, because I'll be honest, I was tuning out during that section.
Jeff definitely
Uh,
tried and like get a little more than the dude originally planned whenever he was talking to him, though. It's
Yeah,
kind of like
I kind of noticed that too. Yeah. And then another interesting game that I saw, Toxic Commando. This is John Carpenter, the creator of Halloween and The Thing, classic '80s horror movies. Just a date for 2024. This kind of gave like a Left 4 Dead-esque style to it. I thought it looked interesting, but it was one of those things where we didn't really get much. We get Left 4 Dead games all the time, it feels. I'm hoping we get more out of it. I thought the creature designs especially looked interesting, and I would hope they'd look interesting coming from John Carpenter. Moon, did you have any thoughts about this?
I actually haven't watched the trailer for this one, so
Okay.
I don't even know what kind of game it is.
well, I think it looks like a kind of generic zombie shooter, and I think the only thing impressed me was just the amount of zombies in the game, like at that single time. I think that was the only impressive thing about it.
Yeah, and I feel like that was like a thing that was super impressive with Left 4 Dead 2. And then every other
Yeah.
developer was like,
And
guys,
Dead
look at how
Rising
many
3.
zombies there are.
But,
Look at how many
yeah, I
zombies
mean,
there are. It's like, yeah, we know. We know we can
I
do a
th-
lot of zombies.
I think this is what Redfall should have been. This is the true
Yeah.
Redfall.
Hey, don't bring up Redfall's name in vain, man.
That's the vibes it was giving off.
So this is the thing that I really wanted to talk about. Spider-Man 2. Brian Intihar, creative director of Spider-Man, came on stage, talked to Jeff for a bit, and we got some details. Big one, Venom is not Eddie Brock, and they're really shooting for a fully original story. And here's the interesting detail. Dated for October 20th, about 2 weeks after the PlayStation Showcase where they said fall 2023. I know y'all have a lot of thoughts about this. Dark, especially, you were talking to me a lot about this. How do you feel about this weird date?
I mean, the date itself is fine. It's just like, why wasn't this at the Sony showcase? But it definitely could have used it back then. How that thing turned out. This feels like did Keighley get the deal before Sony had their own game? I don't understand what the situation is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. It's just a strange situation. Bench, what about you?
yeah, I thought it was kind of like not a great look. Like, how did Jeff get the date and the Sony showcase didn't? That just doesn't add up in my head to me, especially because
Mhm.
the showcase was pretty middling, and you had the Spider-Man 2 was the big ender. So if you know you had the date because it was like a week ago, why wasn't it there? How did Jeff get it? Like, I
It's
just don't
so weird.
understand.
It's like it feels like they want to try to like get a situation where we want to give Jeff something, but it's like you don't need to give Jeff something. Like this is your PlayStation Showcase. You don't give the date, but you give it 2 weeks later at Summer Games Fest. Like I saw some people saying like, oh, they were finalizing the date. Maybe it wasn't fully finalized, but I can't
That
really
doesn't
imagine that's the
happen
case.
over
Like,
like 2 weeks.
yeah, 2 weeks. Like that just doesn't make
Like-
sense.
Like 2 weeks in terms of production, like Jeff putting together his production, like getting all the editors and all the footage together. Like they would have already had to submitted that footage of showing the release date, showing the box art, all those graphics you saw. Jeff probably already had that when the PlayStation Showcase was going on. So just because of how long this kind of stuff takes to make. So they clearly already had their date. They have their box art. I don't know. This feels like a failed attempt at a 1-2 marketing punch, and I'm pretty familiar with these 1-2 punches. This just feels like a very bad attempt at it. Like it almost feels like it should have been reversed. Like if you wanted to do this thing where you're keeping Spider-Man in the headlines of the news by like, okay, here's at the PlayStation Showcase, here it is at Summer Game Fest. We're gonna be keeping because we're gonna split up our information. Like here's some gameplay, here's the information. So we're gonna be always in the headlines. But it should have been reversed. Like if they wanted to go this route, like you should have had the date and the box art at PlayStation Showcase and be like, tune in for gameplay at Summer Game Fest. Like, but I guess at the same time, the reason why they didn't, because if you look at the PlayStation Showcase, if all you did for Spider-Man was like, oh yeah, here's your box art, here's your release date, and maybe a 30-second gameplay tease, and be like, see more again Summer Game Fest, that would have made the PlayStation Showcase even worse, probably. So
Exactly.
Sony and Insomniac kind of just dropped all the balls on this. Like, you failed at your 1-2 marketing punch because they just did. Like there was just no, I guess, right answer for this. You should have all just gone in on one thing, like all on the showcase or all on Summer Game Fest.
100% agree. Like it's just a strange situation. I don't know why you would give Keighley this honestly pretty big deal with the even the collector's edition reveal as well. Like, I don't know why you wait until Summer Games Fest. Again, that kind of goes to show, like, we didn't need the PlayStation Showcase when we did. That just adds on to the thing of, like, you could have just had everything at Summer Games Fest in relation to Spider-Man 2. And then another thing that came out of it, we got the collector's edition, as I alluded to earlier. Pre-orders go live June 16th. And I think the one big thing I really wanted to point out with this collector's edition, we got a big Venom statue, about 19 inches, with the steelbook, other bonuses. It's about $229 for the full collector's edition. I'll tell you guys, I was really tempted to get this Venom statue. If anyone sees it, it is absolutely beautiful. But you don't get the game on a disc. You get it as a digital code, which that immediately told me I am not getting this. Moon, I know you expressed interest in this collector's edition. Was that the same thing with me?
Yeah, like I think I even mentioned on the podcast saying I am very interested in a collector's edition for Spider-Man 2 because it's most likely going to come with a statue with Venom because the first Spider-Man game came with a pretty cool statue. I didn't get that, but I thought, okay, it's going to have Spider-Man and Venom probably in it. This one has a bonus of even Miles being there, so that's really cool. And it's a great statue. But yeah, then I see, damn, it's a digital version of the game, which I should have realized because I think we've had this discussion with other past collector's editions. Like all the collector's editions coming out these days all come with digital versions of the game. I think this is a ploy from companies to try to keep prices low on these collector's editions because obviously adding a physical game is probably going to bump the price up a bit. Probably not by much in terms of manufacturing, but to get a bigger investment or, I mean, return, they probably would have to bump it like another $40, $50, $60 perhaps to cover the cost of making this physical copy and shipping with it. So they're trying to make it cheaper on these collector's editions by giving you digital copies because for the price of what this is, the statue of the collector's edition is actually a pretty good price of $230 for what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because I think it's like the deluxe edition, so it comes with like all the DLC and season pass or whatever coming for Spider-Man. So it's a good deal, but that's how they get you. They're like, here's a good deal for a cool statue and the full game, but it's a digital game.
If I remember correctly, we
ahead.
also had a big AAA game also just be digital only announced.
Yeah, Alan Wake
shown at the show. No, and Like a Dragon Gaiden. Wasn't that digital only?
I was gonna go into that right now actually. Like a Dragon Gaiden got a date for November 9th. It had a really cool trailer. I know none of us are really big Yakuza fans, but like it definitely looked really good. But I got this news from at Camaracho Bros from Twitter. Hi everyone, it seems like we were given the wrong information. We have spoken to retailers that have reached out to Sega. We can unfortunately confirm that there is no physical ESRB version of Like a Dragon Gaiden. It will be a digital only title. The big thing to note, physical ESRB version, which effectively tells us that this is getting a physical version in Japan most likely, but not in the US, which is just another weird situation of like, this digital thing is just gonna keep happening.
Yeah, I think this is just gonna be a trend at this point. It's only a matter of time before third parties only sell their physical games on like a store, like their online store. I mean, you can already see Sony is like leaning towards that with how they're building up PlayStation Store, the website. I could see eventually them just only selling physical games through there.
I think Gaiden's getting away with it because it's, at least from what we've been hearing online, it's a much smaller game. Unlike Alan Wake 2, which I'm guessing is on the bigger side. This apparently Like a Dragon game is like not very big or very long. So I think that's how they're kind of getting away with it.
I believe it's set up for Like a Dragon 8. This is like
it's like a
story.
Yeah, no, that's what I've been hearing as well. It just feels weird. What Ben, you were just talking about in the sense of like Sony only selling games to their online store. But the thing is with that strategy is that they're still, getting the production of creating physical discs, physical games. Yeah, sure, they probably don't have to create as many, but they're still going through that production process, and they also piss off their retailers who sell their consoles.
They don't have to work. Sure, but like physical, I mean, you don't have to worry about their cut anymore. And you can also control the amount of copies you sell. Maybe it sells out and you have to do another batch, but you also, like with pre-orders stuff, you'll get more controlled numbers. And by that point, you're just pushing people to digital anyways. So I think they can see that as an all positive situation for them.
Well,
My
that's not an all positive situation. Is that like it's just still like a situation where they still piss off their retailers. They still have to sell their consoles through like Walmart, Best Buy, Target. Like these are the places that they sell their consoles, and a lot of people buy their consoles directly from there. It's just it doesn't make sense to me. I guess I do see that Sony does have a lot of positives to go with this, but of course, it's an all negative situation for the consumers, in my opinion. Dark, you had something to say?
Yeah, I think the simple solution is just like why not have both a version for people who want a physical disc and people who want a digital like copy? Because like to be honest, because I have an Xbox Series S, I would love if they start doing more of these, where like you can get a collector's edition, so you can get all the items, and they gave you digital code. But just also have a version that has a physical disc inside for people who want that. It feels like the simple solution. I don't know why you have to pick
Costs
one over
more
the
money
other.
though, which I
The
guess they
return
Yeah.
you're
want
gonna
to
get
deal
on
with.
it is massive.
I think they just don't want like multiple SKUs to also confuse
They don't want the
people.
SKUs. They don't want the production
Mhm.
costs.
I don't
It's
know.
just it's a
That's
messy
just my take on it.
situation. No, I get it. I definitely understand where you're coming from. It's just a messy situation.
Yeah.
Obviously, we do know all digital is most likely gonna happen, and obviously, as a physical collector, I don't want it. But hey, things are just gonna happen. We talked a lot about this back when Alan Wake 2 was revealed to be all digital. The full consensus is yeah, it's probably gonna happen, but at the end of the day, like this is an all negative for the consumer. It's
Yep.
just you don't gain anything as a consumer if games switch fully to digital with no physical copies. Yeah, but that rant's over. And I guess the last game I wanted to talk about here, Pow World. Moon, you were talking a lot about Pow World. What are you thinking about this one, this trailer?
I mean, it's cool, but it's a lot like the past ones that they have. It's just like an extended version. A lot of the teasers they put out where it's just kind of just goofy gameplay, but it at least seems more like it's actual gameplay. Obviously, the UI isn't there, so it's not like raw footage. It's still edited
There's
for
UI for a
trailers,
bit.
but a little bit. But what I kind of find interesting, it seems like it's almost like a live service game, also in a way, because it's going into early access.
Nah, it's
Or
probably just because it's a Steam game. Like they
gets a
just go
Steam
into early
game.
access. This happens a lot.
Yeah, so it's just so it won't be a completed game once it releases. Like, granted, we don't know like how much of a story game this is, or if it's just kind of a mess around kind of sandboxy game. Because it looks like what you're doing a lot is just fighting creatures, gathering resources, exploring the world. There's no like real story or anything so far. So it's just
I'll be
kind of all
honest.
seems like a game where you just kind of mess around in.
Man, when I tell you though, they are really skirting that copyright line because my God, some of those designs are pretty much strikingly similar to actual existing Pokemon. Like there was a statue that straight up looked like Lucario. Their sheep Pokemon is basically Wooloo. It is just scarily close. I would not be surprised if we saw like Nintendo or not Nintendo, a Pokemon company hit them with a cease and desist at this point.
I thought the game looked pretty damn cool. Like, it's the most
Oh, same.
ridiculous concept. Dude, there was a freaking sweatshop. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh yeah, that was like in one of the original trailers.
I was like,
Yeah,
what
that was
the
like
hell
one
is
of the
going
first
on?
ones.
But I thought it looked cool. Hopefully, like Nintendo or Pokemon Company doesn't like go on their ass about it. But I'm curious to see how the game does.
Yeah, same. I'm very interested in it. And then I guess that's all the like really interesting stuff. Obviously, there's other stuff. Do you guys have anything more to mention that like from the actual show? Because I do want to go into notable absences.
Okay, so I do want to mention something quickly because you guys went on the whole rant about Spider-Man. The director or whoever the guy was, he did mention that Venom isn't Eddie Brock, which I
Yeah.
respect him for doing that one theory. I feel like, and this is my personal theory, just I'm not going off of anything, just I feel like Venom in this game might be Craven. If you see the
Yeah.
storylines that they're pulling from it, this does work and it does make sense. And it could be an incredibly interesting take on this character if they go down that route.
Well, they did say specifically like they wanted to go for a fully original story, but like Craven's never been Venom before in any of the comics, I don't think.
From
No, I think
what
he
I'm
has.
aware of, he hasn't. But I could very well be missing a comic or two where he has. But
And
I
there's a
think
lot
this
of
will be
comics.
interesting take. Yeah, exactly. I try to keep up, but this
He's been
infinite
Venom
amount.
before.
Huh? Say again, Bench?
I think he's been Venom before, according to Google.
Oh, cool. Thanks, Google.
Google
So
saying
yeah, I
that,
mean, so it's something like that's happened before, but like they definitely put their own twist to it. I mean, we saw how many twists they threw into Spider-Man 2018, and that game turned out
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
I have full faith in Insomniac that they'll pull off something really good.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, I wanted to go over some notable absences, just 4 specifically. One game that we were all pretty confident in showing up here, Death Stranding 2. Kojima skipped out on his best friend's birthday party. That's pretty sad. Dark, you were very much adamant that it was going to be here. How do you feel?
Oh, yeah, I was like, I thought that this was like a given, but I guess not. I guess maybe Kojima needs more time to let his baby cook, or maybe him and
Yeah.
Jeff are having a falling out. Who knows?
No, I think it's just that trailer we saw was probably pretty early on, so maybe it's just not ready. And then another one that I personally found surprising, but I guess not. This kind of tells me that this probably won't come out this year now. Elden Ring DLC. A little bit surprised, but also doesn't really come across as like the most insane thing in the world that it wouldn't show up. More surprising is Armored Core 6. I thought for sure that I was going to get like a quick trailer, like a quick little gameplay trailer, and just nothing. I guess they're just waiting on that one. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
isn't that like August?
yeah, it's like 2 months. So
And yeah, they can't
really
wait for
haven't
like
shown much.
Tokyo Game Show because that's like September, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah. No, that's Paris
So-
Games Week. I think
The
they're
way
both in September.
was towards the end of the showcase, Jeff was really hyping up the final announcement. I mean, the way he was talking about it, I'm like, yo, this is probably like Elden Ring DLC.
Yeah,
It was
and
Final
then
Fantasy Rebirth.
yeah, I
I
don't know
found the
why he
fake
did
out
it like
funny. I found the Ever
Oh,
Crisis
yeah, yeah.
fake out funny.
that.
That's
That
No,
was
no,
actually
no.
quite notable too.
That part was hilarious. Where it's just like, speaking of Final Fantasy, and then the whole crowd is like, no, 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 DoorDash. That was definitely one of my highlights. I wish I brought that up earlier.
Like that's a way to
it-
do an ad segment correctly. Like you pull it into the
Is
show
it?
with people's expectations. I found it very funny.
DoorDash has nothing to do with gaming. I don't know what you're on about, bro.
Yeah, I feel like that was more of like a just accident. Like I think he meant to quickly
Nah.
transition into the
I think
DoorDash ad.
I think that was planned.
Well, you'd
I
have
think
to
he knew
plan
what
the
he had.
audience ahead of time. Okay, but would the audience have to talk to beforehand? Like, hey,
No, I
audience,
mean you can expect the audience reaction in that case. It's pretty obvious what'll happen. People get
I don't know
excited
how-
because you're saying after that, and people expect Rebirth, and you don't do it, but you know you have it later. So I found that funny.
Speaking of Armored Core 6, I might as well tie this news story in. We did get some new details. This comes over from Shinobi over on Twitter. Good friend of the show. Not friend of the show, but you know what I mean.
Friend of the show, good friend Shinobi.
Yeah. Well, he'd be fine with it. Armored Core 6, not open world because From did not want to feel like Elden Ring. Mission-based gameplay, plus each map is intricately crafted. Emphasis on customization, assembling parts so players can create their perfect Armored Core for various situations. Bench, I know you've expressed interest in this game. How do you feel about these details?
Yeah, I mean everything is gonna. I think it'll be really good. For especially its mechs, which are always cool. But I'm not sure I'll get it day one quite yet. It's going to depend what I'm playing at the time, and with Starfield pretty soon after, it may take the time to clean up the many games I haven't been able to finish yet, which is now 3 or 4 that I want to finish before then. But it's definitely something I'm gonna play and finish eventually.
Of course, yeah. This is an easy day one for me. I mean, I love From Software. They're like probably my favorite video game company at the moment. They've just created my favorite games of all time. I fully have faith in this. I'm not the biggest mecha fan, but I everything I've seen of this looks like a game even for people who aren't really big on mechs. The not open world thing, mission-based gameplay, I think we pretty much knew that. It would be surprising if they went for an open world direction. I mean, it's still weird that there was no trailer for this at Summer Games Fest. That's genuinely the most shocking thing. I think we'll definitely see some more trailers before release. I almost see FromSoft as like, we don't really need a big show to like really market from Armored Core 6 the same way we needed for, like a re-reveal of Elden Ring. Armored Core 6, like people know what it is. It's a known quantity. So I think FromSoft is almost taking this like, it'll come out. Like you know it's going to come out. We'll drop YouTube trailers and whatnot.
Yeah, I
Just
don't even
very
think this
slow.
I don't even think this is going to be at the Xbox show because I think it's been pretty clear
no
that
way.
FromSoft wants to be pretty platform agnostic going forward.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, it's very clear because like they've only really been showing off at like Keeley shows, basically.
That
Because like
and
Armored
Twitter drops, and yeah, I mean, I
Mhm.
guess we'll just wake up one day and new trailer will be out. But I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, if you wanted to get it to the wider audience, I don't know why it wouldn't be here.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think they really need to get to the wider audience. They know their audience. Like FromSoft fans will eat up anything they want, and like Armored Core wouldn't really appeal to a wider audience. I feel the same way like Elden Ring would. That's kind of my viewpoint on it. And then another notable absence. This is a game we actually all also thought was pretty certain was going to be here, at least in terms of a character reveal. Tekken 8. This one made me sad. I really wanted Tekken 8 to be here, but we did get some news of it. There's going to be a beta later on this month. I signed up for it on both my emails, so hopefully I get something for the podcast. That'd be very helpful there.
Nah, they're gonna catch you doing that and be like, "No, this guy doesn't get any."
Yeah, I feel like revealing it on the podcast live is probably a scary thing. Harada's on me now.
Harada's a big fan of the show.
Oh yeah, he tunes in every week. He talks about it all the time.
Well, this wasn't at Summer Game Fest. It is at Playdays, so we'll get some more hands-on impressions throughout the week or so.
Yeah, and we did see what's it called? Recently, Claudio returned. I think they did a trailer either earlier today or yesterday. I might be wrong, but Claudio was one of my favorite characters in Tekken 7, so I'm excited to see him come back. And that's really Summer Games Fest as a whole. I guess now just final scores out of 10. Moon, what would you give the score? Even though, again, you didn't watch it live.
I'm just gonna rate it purely on the lineup. Good chunk of good reveals, but of course, obviously dragged down by some what the fuck kind of things with the interviews, the TV trailers, and all that, and what you said about like the Xbox Porsche. So I'm gonna give 7, very middle of the road.
A 7 out of 10.
Yeah, 7 out of 10.
Okay, cool. Dark, what about you?
I'll give it a 6.5.
Bench on
really show.
Oh, sorry.
I'd give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm right there with Dark. 6.5. Just another Keeley show. Like I was pretty much like whelmed is the word I would say. Like this is exactly what I thought it was going to be, and I'm pretty happy with it because I got a lot of games that I'm interested in, and that's really all you really want from these type of showcases. Moving on to probably another massive news story, at least for us. I know all of us are very big Persona heads around here. Persona 3 Remake and Persona 5 Tactics trailer leaked. This comes over to us from good friend of the show, Noble, over on Twitter. If I can just pull it up. Persona 3 Reload trailer dropped on Atlas West Instagram, coming early 2024 to Xbox and PC Game Pass Day 1. And in the case of Persona 5 Tactics, called Tactica. I'm interested in that. We got a trailer for that November 17th, 2023, Xbox and PC Game Pass Day 1. Obviously, there's a lot to say here. I know we're all big Persona fans. Dark, what about you? How do you feel about this leak?
This leak is like the worst kept secret alongside Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake, in my opinion. But this was easily my biggest anticipation for the Xbox Showcase. And just from like how Persona 3 Remake looks, it looks incredible. I want to see them remake 4 in the same way. And as for Tactics, I'm curious to see how they handle it.
Yeah. No, Tactics, honestly, I think that's like kind of the unsung hero here. Everyone's talking about Persona 3 Remake. Genuinely, Persona 5 Tactics looks like a lot of fun. Okay, quick on the row. How do you guys feel about the chibi art style? Because I do not like it.
I'm fine
I don't
with
mind it.
What about you, Bench?
Yeah, I mean, Persona 3 is like the worst kept secret, like Dark said. But it's something I'm
chibi art
excited.
style for
We're
Tactics.
talking about the chibi art style. Keep up.
Chibi art style, I don't have any problems with chibi art style. So I don't know if I'll buy it day one, but it's something I'll check out for sure eventually, as I really loved 5.
What about 3 Remake? You were talking about that earlier.
I mean, it's obviously, like Dark said, the worst kept secret for like ever, but I've only played 5 Royal, and one of my favorite games of all time, so I'm definitely going to dive into this day one because everything from the leaked trailer was great.
I mean, you were talking a lot about Persona 4, how you're playing through that the first time. This Persona 3 Remake trailer, that get you excited to finally play that game afterwards?
Oh yeah. Like now I don't have to play the janky like visual novel version of Persona 3 Portable. So it's like it's coming at a perfect time.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same boat as all of you. Like this is easily just shot up one of my most anticipated games. I played 5 and 4, love both of them to death. I think they're both some of the best JRPGs in the world. And everyone always talks about how incredible Persona 3's story is. Darky, I know you've actually know what happens in the story. If I'm correct.
So I've watched playthroughs and stuff before the games actually came out and stuff. 3 story has the potential to be the best in the entire series, in my opinion. If this remake adjusts some things, and if you played the game before or familiar, you know what I'm talking about.
Arteris.
Tartarus needs to be revamped. Some of the social links and characters need to be fixed, and like not fixed, but like fleshed out more. And this game
Yeah.
can really skyrocket to the top if they do these things.
Yeah,
And they need to
it's one of
completely
those-
overhaul the answer. Like that's fix
Oh
it
yeah.
entirely.
I mean, do you think they add for answer? Because like that's kind of a
This
topic of debate.
This is the definitive edition. They better add the answer, or people are gonna lose their shit.
Man, I don't know. You just can never trust Atlas. I feel like they're very random with what
It
they
makes
add.
more sense to me if they don't add FemC, but add the answer.
Dang. Do you really think they would do that to FemC fans?
I mean, I can see them adding it as an expansion later on. I mean, I could be wrong. She
Yeah,
should
probably.
be in the game, but if she's not, it can easily be an expansion.
So it's a weird situation. I mean, I guess the big thing. How do you guys feel about this whole thing being leaked? I mean, you could tell Phil is very angry at the moment.
Yeah, that person lost their job
Yeah,
instantly.
they lost their job.
Oh, they're gone. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
so
Now,
it's
I
a-
just want to confirm something. Was it the American Atlas Instagram account? Because for some reason I thought it was the Brazilian account that leaked it out because everything's in Spanish.
It says Atlas West.
yeah, it was the American account, I believe.
But everything's but all the like words on the trailer are in Spanish.
Are they in Spanish? I'm watching the trailer.
Yeah, they're in
Yeah,
a
they
different
were.
language.
So
Because that's why I swear I thought it was at the Brazilian Instagram account.
Well, one of the accounts leaked it, and wherever they are now, job listings appeared the day
Yeah,
after.
that was
So
brutal.
they're gone.
I wonder
Yeah, I don't know
though if that was the leaked trailer is actually like the full trailer though. 'Cause
I
it's
don't
only like
think
a
it
minute.
is.
I don't think it's the
Yeah.
full trailer because someone mentioned like the border around like these are cut specifically to be posted on Instagram. So they
Yeah,
might
Also, if
just
you notice, oh my bad, I cut you off. The Persona 5 Tactics trailer was much longer than the 3 remake, and I feel like it was just cut off in a weird point where I feel like they could have shown more.
Yeah, for some of
Yeah,
the Tactics trailer, I didn't get as much on that as I would obviously want. But I mean, the Xbox show is like in a couple of days. Obviously, we're very excited for that. Maybe they will get more there. I think Persona 5 Tactics is kind of the secret one. Like that game actually looks pretty fun.
it does look like a lot of fun. But I still think these are just like cut down versions of the trailers made for Instagram. Like we're gonna get longer trailers
Yeah.
at the Xbox Showcase.
Yeah, and also something, it's coming to game. Both are coming to Game Pass day one.
Score.
Which is
Yeah,
incredible.
that's a big one. I cannot believe that one. That was the most surprising thing out of all
This
of
makes
this.
me believe, because Peter makes a massive deal. I think that Persona 6 will be multi-plat, and I think Game Pass Day 1 is a possibility.
I
agree.
really, really hope Persona 6 is multi-platform. I don't think about Game Pass Day 1. I think that's a
I
kind of.
think
think
after this massive push that they're doing, because it also got leaked that these 2 games are for all platforms, including Switch and all that. I do think that they go in for this multi-platform push, Atlas. It wouldn't make sense to start this and then have P6 be exclusive.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
I agree,
definitely
but
gonna
I
be
do think-
multi-platform, but I don't think it's gonna be on Game Pass.
I think 6
Same.
is going to be next gen exclusive though. So
Oh, I don't mind
Oh,
that.
that's for sure. Yeah,
But
without question.
multi-platform.
There's no way that they're releasing it. Okay, I'm not going to say no way. This is Atlas. They've proven me wrong in the past. But yeah, I mean, we're all very excited for that. The Xbox show definitely got much more interesting, at least for me. I mean, it was already pretty much guaranteed to be there. Let's be honest here. we knew if it was going to get revealed sometime sooner or later.
unfortunately, I can't catch the show live as I'm out of town, but I'm definitely going to be looking forward to watching all the trailers they could post it after.
Yeah, no, we're gonna miss you.
Who's
Then I
this
guess
we?
next. Come on, don't do that to Bench. I'm gonna miss him.
No comment.
Last big news story of the week, at least big, was Capcom Showcase was announced. Obviously, right now we know that games confirmed for it. Ghost Trick, Phantom Detective, Exo Primal, Dragon's Dogma 2. I'm actually gonna pull up the Wario64 tweet. If I could just find it, I'm so sorry for this. But it looks like Capcom Showcase is confirmed for Monday, June 12th at 3 p.m. PT, approximately 36 minutes long. So we are looking at a decently sized show. Capcom Showcases in the past haven't exactly been the biggest deals. I guess we'll just do like quick predictions. Like, what do you guys think? Do you guys think we'll get anything more other than Ghost Trick, Exoprimal, and Dragon's Dogma? Moon, I'm going to throw it over to you.
I mean, it is weird to see what was the list again. It's weird that like
Exoprimal.
Ghost Trick is on the list. Like, what are you showing? That's just it's more Ghost Trick. It just looks prettier because you expanded it from a DS game to a full console game now. But it's kind of weird that that's like a highlight. But I guess that game does have like its cult following, so maybe you'll get those diehard fans be like, "Oh, I'm gonna check out the showcase because I want to see more Ghost Trick." Exoprimal, once again, it's kind of like it's gonna be fascinating to watch them market this game because even at Summer Game Fest there was that brief Exoprimal announcement of like, oh yeah, here's some mech versions of Ryu because here's our first
that was weird.
crossover. So I guess that's what they're going to be focusing on in the future. It's like, yeah, we're not going to be expanding anything. We're just going to be doing these collabs and other battle pass stuff, and that's how this is going to keep the game alive. And I'm like, good luck with that. Dragon's Dogma 2 is obviously should be there because it's good to be seeing a game like that every once in a while. I thought there was 4 games confirmed. You only have 3 here on the docket.
No, it's only 3.
Interesting.
Bench
Yeah,
cut?
I think we're gonna see like 5 to 10 minutes of Dragon's Dogma with a release window. I'm not sure when that'll be, but I think it's closer than a lot of people think. And then I think we actually see the first in-game look of the Street Fighter DLC character. I don't know if we get a date,
Yeah.
but I think that'll be there. Fighting games like to do a DLC push pretty quick after lunch, but I think it'll come out sometime in July.
Yeah, I think that's almost a given. I mean, Darko, how about you? How are you feeling about this?
I do think there's 2 hidden surprises there. I could be wrong, of course, but I feel like
Ace Attorney.
Oh God, please! That's my big announcement.
Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways has a chance of being there.
Oh yeah, about that.
And I do think that they're going to showcase the first like battle pass type thing for Street Fighter 6 with like a release date or something.
Have they said it's a battle pass?
If you were to go into the game, yeah, it's a fighter pass. It's going to act like a battle pass, more or less.
Gotcha. That's interesting. I guess like, do you guys have any like extra predictions like outside of like the ones we already know and the obvious stuff like Street Fighter?
Trying to remember what I saw people predict. I know a lot of people in the comments were predicting like what Dark said, the Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways DLC, but there's something else, and now I can't remember what it was.
I mean, there is. You mentioned it earlier, Ace Attorney. We do know that there's a new Ace Attorney in development. Do you think we're getting it? Like, do you think this is where they show it?
It's like that's like the dream, but it doesn't feel like the right time. I guess it really depends like how far in development they are.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I mean, that's easily like one of my most wanted games at the moment as a big Ace Attorney head. I'm just wondering like if this is the venue you want to show it. I guess
Capcom ever done reveals at a Capcom showcase before, or have they always just been updates?
They've usually just been updates. They at least I think honestly, if we're gonna get Ace Attorney, it would be like at the Xbox show. So this kind of tells me that we're not gonna get it here.
Yeah, so it feels like a Oh well, no, we're gonna see that Monster Hunter Go mobile game. That's what we're gonna see.
Please tell me that's not a thing. Did I miss that?
Oh yeah, that was a couple months ago. It's a Pokemon Go style Monster Hunter game.
Yeah, I think.
Wow.
I think they've revealed the last update for Rise, so I think they remind us about that.
I saw people predicting Monster Hunter World 2 is here. There's no way in hell they
That's at a much bigger stage. It's at a much bigger stage than
like an Xbox
show. I don't even know Xbox or PlayStation show. Could be Game Awards, but it's not for a Capcom Showcase. No, that's something you maybe have follow up with the Capcom Showcase, detailing it in more depth, but not here. You don't announce it at one.
Yeah. I guess that's really it on a Capcom Showcase. We don't really have much else to say about it. It's just interesting. It's a very clear like update showcase more than anything else. I hope it's good. That's really it. I just don't want my time wasted. In 36 minutes, I mean, I doubt you could waste my time with 36 minutes. But hey, I've seen it happen before with these showcases.
Hey, Twisted Metal exists.
Oh God, don't remind me. Then we're gonna move on to small topics. Day of the Devs and Devolver Direct also happened. I don't think any of y'all watched it. No,
I did not.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm the only one. I guess I'll just go over stuff real quick. The Noble, I highly recommend. Friend of the show, Noble, and I can actually say it because he is a friend of the show. And Noble did a really awesome roundup of Day of the Devs, Devolver, Summer Games Fest as well. That's where I got a lot of the info about the dates and stuff. I highly recommend following him on Twitter. He is a great follow. He did a great roundup of everything. Day of the Devs, I watched a bit of it. It was fine. It really just wasn't much. There was cool indie games. Obviously, if you're a fan of indie games, I highly recommend checking out some of the trailers. I'll just go over some highlights that I personally found interesting. Viewfinder, that was that game that kind of looked interesting, where you would take a photo and you would basically like create an environment around it. Not much else to say. They just gave a date, July 18th, 2023. I'm most likely going to check that one out. I've been really excited for that one. Hell's Gate, Tony Hawk style game. I'm not a big Tony Hawk guy, but I know a lot of people are a big fan of that style of game. I highly recommend looking at the trailer. It actually looked very interesting. No date, PC only. Cocoon, if you guys remember, this was at the Xbox Showcase last year. What's it called? They just said that it's going to be releasing later this year. Big Game Pass title. Moon, I think you had interest in Cocoon?
It was it was less interest and more when our group was talking about the showcase from last year. We were keeping track of every game that was supposed to be coming out within 12 months, like they said, and what game hasn't. And this was like the list of like 6 or 7 games from last year that still hasn't come out. But I mean, it's a game and it's on Game Pass. So at least I'll check it out. I think it's like a puzzle platform or something like that.
It's not less puzzle platform or top-down puzzle game more so than anything else.
Puzzle platform, yeah.
Yeah, puzzle like some shooting elements. Like it looked interesting.
Right, and then I'm going to put a quick pause on the podcast right now. I'm going to let you two geek out about whatever you're going on and chat about because this sounds important. What on earth are you guys talking about right now?
Okay. This Dark was just losing his mind. We got fucking Morgan, bro. Dark, good shit, my man.
You'll be out here.
Let's fucking go.
I'm out here fucking just wanna try not to
State head, stay winning, baby. Bro, she looks amazing. All right, we can go back to it.
All right, I let you guys weep out for a second. Now back to work.
All right. So another thing that we saw at the showcase for Day of the Devs, Eternights.
Speaking of weeb.
Yeah, speaking of weeb. You might want to cut that part out actually, because that wasn't going to be in the podcast.
No, it's funny. It's funny to cut stuff like that. That's a shorts thing right there.
Yeah, really, honestly. What's it called? Dragon's Dogma. Wait, hang on. Okay, cut all of this. All right. Another thing we saw at the Day of the Devs, game that we were talking about a lot, Eternights. Moon, I know you're actually really excited for this game. That new trailer, I'll be honest, it
Kinda
didn't
rough.
look very good. Yeah, those animations, they just look like they were done in Blender, done in 20 minutes. I'll be honest, this was not a good showcase for the game. They did give us a September release date. Moon, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, it's for some reason maybe I'll have to go rewatch like the original trailers, but I don't remember it looking like that. So I'll have to go to the older trailers and comparing it. Like maybe was I just blinded by like a shiny new game kind of thing to not notice, and now I'm starting to notice stuff like that, or something's changed in his like style of animation. So yeah, I'll have to see how it actually comes out, how it fares, well, like reviews and all that before I decide to jump on this. See if it's do I actually play this? Do I wait for a sale, or is it just one of the 100 of other like cool looking JRPGs that actually aren't fun to play? Because like last week or this week, technically, that game Loop 8 Summer of Gods came out. Seemed really cool and had a lot of my favorite like voice actors in it, but it got terrible reviews. And the funny thing is, though, one of the reviews said literally the only thing that's saving this game is its art style and its voice acting. Like everything else is just absolutely terrible. I think it's sitting at like a 50 something right now, like 58. So, and that's what I've started to notice with like a lot more of these like niche Japanese games. Is like I'd get really interested in like, oh, okay, cool, it's gonna be a nice little niche, cool title, and then it just reviews terribly.
Yeah, this is interesting. It's not a Japanese game. It comes from a guy who
it's a Western
was just
developer,
a really
but
big fan of Persona.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I think what you were talking about with how it looked last time, it's just they did really quick cuts, and in this presentation, we saw much more like kind of how the game would be played. Raw gameplay, And man, that combat looked a lot less fun than it did last time. As a big action game fan, I was just kind of shocked by just basically how it looked. At Bench, I know you were talking a lot about just how weak that trailer was. How do you feel? Bench? Okay.
Not paying
Oh,
attention again.
This podcast is a joke, man. Cut that part out. Okay. Bench, I know you were talking a lot about your interest in this game. How do you feel about tonight's new trailer? And I know you were talking.
Yeah, that I did not think looked good. I think it looked like a mobile game.
Mhm.
I don't think anything about it was appealing. I thought this is just not going to be good.
Yeah, no, that's just I pretty much share your sentiments. That was not looking interesting at all. But yeah, that's Day of the Devs. I just those were the little highlights. There's a lot more that was shown off. If you do want to check it out, I do highly recommend checking out Noble's Roundup. He did a great job of, again, pulling everything together.
Yeah, Noble is great.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then a Devolver Direct. This was a lot shorter and I'll be honest, a lot less interesting games wise. They did a Volvi mascot joke. They basically created this joke of this idea that Devolver's mascot was Volvi, and it went away, and then it came back. It was a cute little thing. They kind of did almost a mockumentary of what happened to Volvi, how it had a little bit of an edgy phase. Obviously, poking fun at the mascot era of the '90s, early 2000s. I thought it was a decent bit, but overall, the actual showcase, not a lot shown off. Pretty weak show. In the pre-show for the actual showcase, we saw a Grasshopper Direct is apparently coming on June 14th. Grasshopper Games, of course, that's Suda51 studio, and we're getting a Shadows of the Damned remaster. I guess, do you guys have any thoughts on this?
I don't even know what
not
that
really.
is.
I've only
Man,
heard of
guys.
that game in passing. I don't know much about it.
Yeah, Shadows of the Damned. It's a big Suda51 joint, if I remember correctly. I know a lot of it's very much a cool classic. I've always wanted to check it out. I got a PS3 copy recently because I thought it would never get remastered. Then this came out, so that was actually just bad news for me, at least.
So what we learned is you need to go buy some older games so they'll get remasters.
Yeah, really. Don't worry, guys. I'll go ahead and buy all the Fire Emblem games. We can get those
Let's go.
remasters one of these days. We also got Human Fall Flat 2. No date. Not much to say. It's just an interesting title. Extremely popular, which is a weird thing. I feel like no one talks about Human Fall Flat, but apparently
it's a weirdly popular co-op streaming, co-op YouTube kind of game, especially for couples. At least that's what I've noticed on YouTube.
It's strangely popular. I don't know. I've always been more of a gang beast personally. But yeah, the Devolver show was pretty disappointing, just at least in terms of trailers. No trailer for Plucky Squire, which, yeah, we showed at the PlayStation Showcase, but still, that was clearly one of Devolver's biggest games. So, yeah, overall, pretty disappointing on the Devolver Direct. I guess to move on to less showcase news, more back into regular news. Diablo 4 is the fastest selling Blizzard game of all time. This comes over to us from Jeffrey Rousseau at gamesindustry.biz. I'm going to pull up the article now. Blizzard Entertainment has announced that Diablo 4 is its fastest selling game to date. While the title's unit sold figure was not provided, the firm added that it was the highest pre-release sales for PC and home consoles. By comparison, the previous fastest selling Blizzard game was World of Warcraft Shadowlands in 2020. The title sold more than 3.7 million copies in its first full day on sale. That kind of gives you an understanding of just how big this launch is to sell even more than 3.7 on its first full day of sale. So I guess me and Bench have been playing Diablo 4. Bench, how do you feel about the work thing?
Oh yeah, it's great. I had to set it down. Got to a good stopping point the other day. I'm about 8 hours in, right before the start of Act 1, because I've just been so distracted by all there is to do. The game's absolutely massive. Combat is fun. I'm a necromancer. I mean, I can't think of any negatives about it. Just hopefully it holds up in the long run, with monetization never being a big issue.
Yeah, I pretty much said. I think I'm about 15 hours in. I've been playing a lot of it. It is a very, very massive game, like you said. And this sales figure is genuinely pretty shocking, to say the least. To be the fastest selling Blizzard game of all time, even apparently outselling, at least in its first few days, WoW expansions. That's genuinely pretty surprising, to say the least. But yeah, I mean, not much.
As of late.
Yeah, really, especially after that Overwatch PvE news. It's very much Diablo 4 was. It's surprising. All you need to do is make a good game, and people will buy it. You would hope more
Crazy.
developers would realize that.
Crazy when you think about it.
Just rocket science. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Diablo news. To move on, I wanted to go over to the Capcom Sales update. They released kind of a sales update on all of their games that passed over 1 million sales, at least for March 31st, 2023. Benji Sales kind of did a interesting like highlights section for everything shown off. Right now, their highest selling game of all time is Monster Hunter World, plus its expansions at 22.5 million sales, which is pretty surprising. Their second highest selling game is Monster Hunter Rise at 12.7 million. And then right now, I think one of the biggest stats to look at, Resident Evil 4 Remake is at 3.7 million. A lot of people were surprised about that at first. They were like, wow, like, didn't they say it was over 3 million, like in its first few days? Like, I'm surprised it didn't reach. Again, this is March 31st. So this is still like, the first few days of Resident Evil 4 coming out. And, it's already at 3.7 million sales. Dark, I know you're a big Capcom fan. How do you think about these sales numbers?
I don't think, like, obviously the game did incredible. I think for what they were trying to achieve, they've long surpassed it. I don't think much about it. I think Capcom's still gonna stay at the top. I don't think they're going down anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm pretty much like they're pretty much in their Cap God era. I'm really happy about it. I love Capcom, and they're really showcasing like going for stuff like their obvious high selling games like Monster Hunter, Monster Hunter, Resident Evil, and now we're actually starting to see them really give attention to their smaller franchises as well. Like randomly, you get those Dragon's Dogma, you're gonna get those Ghost Trick remasters, like stuff like that. That's what I want to see. Get your big IPs, but also allow these smaller IPs to come back in meaningful ways. And I'm hoping Mega Man's next. Maybe Mega Man X9, please,
Bring them back.
please. Hopefully one day. And also one major thing, Resident Evil Village actually just crossed 8 million copies worldwide. I thought that was pretty interesting to think about. And then moving on to one of our last news stories, at least in terms of before we get big on the predictions, Universal and Illumination are reportedly closing a deal to make a Legend of Zelda movie. Comes over from Discussing Film over on Twitter. I recommend checking them out. Yeah, I guess, with the success of the Mario movie, they want to go ahead and try to spread their wings, try to get into more of Nintendo's big IPs. Bench, how are you feeling about this one?
I mean, hopefully they don't do this because I don't think Illumination would make a good Zelda movie.
Yeah, in the exact same wavelength. Like, yeah, I think did good with a Mario movie because Mario's like, it makes sense. It's in their wheelhouse. But Zelda, I don't know how you would make a movie in that regard. Dark, how do you feel?
I mean, this is not surprising, in my opinion, considering what happened to Mario, like you said. I like Illumination's art style. I think they can do an art. They need to get somebody else to handle the writing for this.
Yep.
And it's gonna be like the Zelda is much more serious, much more grounded. I don't know, to be honest. I'm curious to see what they do.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on that exact same wavelength. I guess I'll ask, like, do you guys think this will be like a completely original story, or do they adapt from one of the games?
It'll probably be loosely based on the original game because they'll want to keep it very simple. So it'll be like an expanded version of what the first game was.
Well, I don't know about that because as shown with Breath of the Wild, people like it with like when you have a Zelda that does stuff where she talks, she has like a bit more story to her. So I can see them taking more of that route.
Yeah, like they would expand upon that, obviously, but I think in terms of like what the core story is, like it'd probably something be closer to the original.
Also,
games.
another thing, I'm not sure if it'll be a solo adventure. They might do something more like Twilight Princess, where Link has somebody with him.
Oh yeah,
so that
I mean,
can bounce back and forth.
There's definitely going to be like some type of companion
I think
character.
they tell the story of Ocarina of Time.
I was just about to say, I think it's Ocarina. If it's going to be an adaptation, it's going to be Ocarina. I mean, I'm not saying Ocarina is like my
I'm not saying it's
choice,
bad, but like,
but it's like
you're better off doing an adaptation at Twilight Princess, and it'll be incredible.
Well, that's the thing. I would prefer Twilight Princess, but they're probably going to go Ocarina of Time because that's like the most popular Zelda game, at least like to the zeitgeist.
Like, if they're thinking long run, do they make an Ocarina of Time a 2-part movie?
No.
No. What are you gonna do 2 parts?
Part 1 is already a task in itself. See if it works.
Exactly.
You have the first part, which is Child Link, the second part, which is Adult Link.
It is
Okay, but
dragging
why
it
would
up to
you?
the point.
Okay, 2-part movies. What do we got? We got like Infinity War and Endgame, and then
now you're
Spider-Verse. Those
yeah,
are
Spider-Verse.
established IPs. Those are established IPs.
I'd
like
say
very
Zelda's
much.
established.
Well, yeah, no, but I'm saying in the movie world, like
Dude,
this
you're
is their
just
first
dragging out
Zelda movie.
Zelda at that point. And if you think about it, if you really
Exactly.
want to get into it, it's gonna be a 3-part movie because there's more after the Adult Link part. So
Adult Link is like a freaking movie in and of itself. So like, I honestly think it's probably going to be an original story though. Like, if they were to adapt something, it would probably be Ocarina, but I think it's original. I think it was just going to be as simple as, oh, we got to go hunt the Triforce pieces, fun romp over there, and then fight Ganon. That's the end of the movie. Like, I don't know how this would work. I guess moving on though, that's pretty much all.
What
the news
about
topics.
what
go
about like
ahead, Ben.
Wind Waker? What about like Wind Waker style? That art style fits more like Illuminations wheelhouse.
I mean, that's just a weird one you would adapt first, though.
Yeah.
I think that would be the best choice, but like, I don't think Illumination or Nintendo are immediately looking at Wind Waker.
I mean,
That's
they
the
might be
thing.
looking at the art style, but besides that,
Yeah, I do love the art style. The idea of that art style, kind of the big screen, I think would work. It's a fascinating idea.
it's gonna be an
Obviously.
adaptation of Spirit Tracks.
Oh God, don't remind me of that one. Oh man. But yeah, that's pretty much all the news we got for this week. Obviously, a very big news week. But obviously, we got to talk about the big topic of the show. Predictions. We got a lot of predictions, mainly for Xbox and Ubisoft. Well, obviously, Xbox, we're going to have most of the predictions. We're going to have a bit more of a roundtable discussion in the case of Ubisoft. But for Xbox, I would think we wanted to do the same format that we did for the PlayStation Showcase, where we're going to have 2 normal predictions and then a long shot prediction. And I also have a list of kind of a lot of the games and studios that, in case no one else brings them up, I wanted to bring them up, kind of see what the cast thinks of what we could see. Big things to note. No CGI trailers. Aaron Greenberg confirmed this on Twitter. Each trailer is labeled, whether it's in-engine, logo, or anything like that. Show will be on the 11th of June, Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Mark your calendars. No movie trailers, which that is definitely my favorite part of the show, if I'm being honest. The show will not follow the next 12 months format. If you remember last year, they pulled these are all the games released in the next 12 months. They're not doing that this time. And it will be roughly 2 hours long if you account the Starfield Direct as part of that. I guess moving into predictions. Bench, why don't we start with you?
We're doing one at a time or all at a time?
One at a time.
I think we get the Cyberpunk DLC. It's shadow dropped and Cyberpunk comes to Game Pass.
Shadow drop? Like the whole DLC?
Yep. I think it comes out on Sunday.
You're crazy.
That's actually a pretty good one. I wasn't expecting that.
You think that? Okay, so the interesting thing to note. The interesting thing to note. Recently they leaked the store listing for the DLC. It's about $35, which from what I hear, is about double the price of like Blood and Wine and the other Witcher 3 expansions. So it's clear this is either a big DLC or CD Projekt Red knows that they could charge more for it. It's gonna be one of those
anime.
Sure, on top of fixing the game. I mean, it's been like 2.5, 3 years since the game came out, so I think it's pretty sizable. And we know they're not doing 2 DLCs. This is the only one, so I think it's going to be pretty substantial. And I still haven't played Cyberpunk, and I've been waiting for the DLC to just do the entire game in one playthrough. So it's pretty exciting when it ever drops. I don't know if it shadow drops. I definitely won't play it for a long while because too many other games, but it's definitely something that's going to be at the top of my list once that DLC comes out. Love myself a good open game.
I think that's the thing. I could see it being a shadow drop on Game Pass. I think that one I do think is very much likely. I just don't think the DLC would be like right there with it. I think they would give a date to the DLC. That's one thing I would say.
We know people are playing it at Playdays, and obviously no one's talking about it, so it's probably embargoed. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting prediction. Dark, what's your first prediction?
I think Xbox will start a partnership with NIS, and we'll see a lot of NIS titles make their way to Xbox. Just ports. Nothing too crazy.
NAS, like what do they develop?
They do the Trail series. They do Atelier. They do Ys or Wise, or however the hell you pronounce it. A lot of smaller JRPGs, but they're good. They hold their own, and I think
All
it'd be
gaining a bigger audience.
Yeah, something like Game Pass would help there. But do you think that's just like something that like Phil outright tells people like,
Yeah,
oh, we're partnering with NIS?
I think. Well, I don't know if he'll say we're partnering. I think it'd be like the Persona thing. Would be like, hey, we heard that you want more JRPGs. Here's a whole. It's just gonna be a whole list of NIS games.
See, that would be awesome because like it's not like any NIS games would like sell well on Xbox. So putting it on Game Pass, it's going to get people to try them out. And whenever a new NIS game comes out, people are going to be more willing to buy it. Like that's a good idea. Like I would love that. That would definitely be like something I'd be excited about.
Yep.
Moon, what's your first prediction, bud?
Kind of at a loss right now because I was going to also go for like the big like JRPG push. But I think it could be like another company. I just can't think of one at the moment. I know there was like NIS, but there was like another Japanese company that we saw. There was a big push for their JRPGs. Maybe some Square Enix ones that are only like on PlayStation and Switch right now. Like what was that last game? Harvestella. Something like that could get some ports.
Various Day Life.
Various Day Life. Oh yeah, that hit game. Because we also saw just Rune Factory just got added to Game Pass. So who does the Rune Factory games? I can't remember.
No, I forgot off the top of my head. I can check the list.
Moon, I think I know. Was the company you're thinking of Falcom?
I think so.
Marvelous
Yeah.
Incorporated. It says
Marvelous. So yeah, like one of those like mid-range, not like giant publishers, but like one of those mid-range companies could probably also be getting a deal with Game Pass to get a lot more JRPGs and other various Japanese games on Xbox. I could see that definitely happening.
All right. I mean, obviously JRPGs are something Xbox is lacking in. Dark, did you find out?
Oh yeah, it was Marvelous.
Oh yeah, you said it earlier. I'm sorry. I guess I'll move into my first prediction right here. I think we're gonna see Compulsion Games' new game. If you guys remember Compulsion Games, the developers of We Happy Few, they have had something codenamed Project Midnight leaked a bit ago, and we have not seen much on it, but apparently it's been in development since We Happy Few. From what we hear of the leaks, it is set in the American Deep South. I'm gonna make the prediction. I think it's New Orleans. I think we're going to see an in-engine trailer. No date, no anything, just very much showcasing, what the world's going to look like, what the style's going to look like. I'm kind of seeing something like an action-adventure type game, maybe not an RPG, but like something similar to, say, like a Tomb Raider, something like that. What do you guys think? Do you think we see Compulsion?
Yeah, I can see it.
Seems very likely.
I hope so. I mean, that tease sounds interesting. The idea of a game set in the deep south of America, but I would guess probably like steampunk era as well. I think that's something that would be very exciting, kind of similar to Lies of P. So yeah, Bench. What about you? What's your second prediction?
I think we get a Fable and engine trailer with very limited gameplay with no date. I think it's a mix of in-game stuff with small gameplay.
No date?
I think no date. You know how the Dragon's Dogma 2 trailer? I think it's something like that, but with less gameplay.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. That's surprising. You don't think? If you had to predict, when do you think it would come out?
Late 2024, early 2025.
That far out? I mean,
I don't think we get a date. I think it's something they can show off a little more at events later down the line. But I think we're going to see what the game actually is. So,
do you guys? What do you guys think about the idea of Fable showing up at this presentation?
I think we get a time frame.
Yeah,
I don't think we get a date. I think it'll be like fall next year or something like that.
Xbox teased Fable, and if they don't show it, it's like them stepping on the rig again. Yep, it's like you're doing this to yourself at this point, and it's starting to get embarrassing.
Yeah, they did that like Fable music and like if you guys remember that, like that Twitter drop basically showcasing excitement for the Xbox Showcase. And they very obviously teased Fable. If it's not here, that's going to be a big L for Xbox. I actually do predict it's going to be here, and I think we're going to get substantial gameplay. I think it's early 2024. I think it's a lot further in development than people think.
No.
Okay, well, you don't have to laugh at me.
I mean, we've
Case
heard
of
that
it.
it's been having some development problems, so I just find that very unlikely.
Yeah, every RPG has development problems, especially if you're switching from like a studio that's known for, making racing games, switching to an RPG game. Like, the development problems, from what I heard, at least, I think Jez Corden was talking about this. It's very like standard for a game of this magnitude. I mean, early 2024 obviously is wishful thinking, but I do think that's the case. Dark, what about your second prediction?
So this is gonna be my long shot prediction. But this is like, I don't know. I thought of this. I'm like, damn, if they do this. So I do think that Xbox will have like a big surprise announcement of a remake of either two games, either Fallout New Vegas remake, which I know we heard rumors about like a while back, or
New Vegas too.
yeah, or, and I don't know why. It's just something I feel like is gonna happen. They're gonna announce a remake of 99 Nights. And if you don't know what this is a very old game IP that Xbox does own. It's I'm trying to remember, like, I think it's kind of like their Hyrule, not Hyrule, like their Warriors-esque game, like 1 versus 100. I think it could work, and it feels like something that they're gonna pull out their ass, or something from the game at that time frame.
I have never heard of this. Wow.
If you look at it, it's pretty interesting. It had the
Yeah, no,
two games actually.
Yeah, 99 Nights 2. Man, that's a terrible name.
Yeah, I know, right?
Hack and slash game. Man, you think that's gonna get a remake? Or obviously it's a
I feel
long
like
shot, but still.
Yeah, it's a long shot. But I feel like if not one of there's a couple of other games that came out. I feel like this is a forgotten IP that they can use the diversity, and you have these things just sitting
Yeah.
there, and if you remake it properly, it could work. I feel like they're gonna pull something like that out.
I mean, that's kind of like the big thing with a Banjo like coming back. It's like that idea of diversity, but like, do you really think like Xbox needs that diversity? Like, do you think that 99 Nights is how they do it, or do you think they would rather greenlight a Banjo game?
I mean, maybe the game that I feel like they can announce could be the Banjo game. Who knows? I feel like it's just gonna be something of that time frame, and Banjo would line up with that. Yeah.
Them just digging into their backlog and just picking something out that they completely own. Be like, okay, here's what we're gonna do to like bolster our lineup.
I mean, when you think about it, right now, like they have Halo, and Halo's like in the rut that it is. If they bring something back that they forgot about for who knows how long, it might hit, and it could be something big. Like, this could be like their Fire Emblem or something like that. You never know.
No. I mean, I hope so. That's the case. I mean, obviously, Xbox needs more stuff on Japan. Appeal to Japanese audiences. 99 Nights. I mean, I did not know about this game. I might have to check that out one of these days. Is it on Game Pass?
I don't think it is. I think it's forgot. I think it is backwards compatible. I might be wrong on that too. But I'll tell you about it later.
Okay, cool. Moon, what about your second prediction?
I'm just gonna go for like the wild card and think with all the fighting games coming out, they're gonna want to throw their hat in the ring. We're gonna finally see something about Killer Instinct.
Killer Instinct, man. I mean, we've been hearing a lot of stuff on that. Iron Galaxy, supposedly, they want like Phil really wants to make a Killer Instinct. Do you think Iron Galaxy is gonna come back?
No, because isn't Iron Galaxy like owned by Amazon now?
I thought
they got bought by someone.
I can check that real quick. You go on about Killer Instinct.
Yeah, it seems like we're now in another renaissance of fighting games. So we got a new Street Fighter, we have a new Tekken coming, Mortal Kombat. Might as well just throw Killer Instinct on that pile too, and watch Maximilian just have a complete breakdown. He's like, I can't play all these games all at once.
That's his like big game. He's more excited for that. And like he would be more excited for Killer Instinct than I'd say even like Tekken or Mortal Kombat. That's his IP. I guess I'll move into my second prediction. Real quick, Iron Galaxy. I don't think they're owned by anyone. From what I see here, they're very much a third-party studio, not owned by anyone. So yeah, I do think with the Rumbleverse closing down recently, it might have been a thing where they closed it so that they could focus on working on Killer Instinct. It's possible. I mean, if anything though, I do think that's like a ways out. I don't really think that would be shown off here, at least. I guess for me, my second prediction, I think we're gonna get an Avowed gameplay trailer. It's gonna look very similar to Skyrim. I think we've been hearing a lot of things about the influences of like more Western RPG like Skyrim or anything Bethesda Game Studios in general. And I think they're just going to give us a 2024 date. What
I
do you guys
think
think of that?
that was one of my predictions. So let's jump in, and I think it's February 2024.
Oh, early 2024. You think
Mhm.
it's that close?
Hmm?
You think it's that
Uh,
close?
Yeah, I think it's pretty close.
What about you, Dirk?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, actually, to be honest, if you think about it, I feel like it's a chance it might drop this year, like at the very tail
Really,
end.
this year? Oh, damn,
If
that's a big surprise.
if Hellblade or Hellspawn, whatever the hell, I keep mixing it up.
Hellblade.
Yeah, if Hellblade does not come out, I feel like Avowed will be the game that comes out at the end of this year. But
And that's going to
if not,
continue the
yeah,
tale of Obsidian carrying.
I feel like we'll see it soon. I think we'll definitely be there.
Mhm. I mean, I hope so. I do put it as a prediction. Like, I think it's very much likely. I mean, how do you feel about being here?
It's possible, but at the same time, I'm just kind of iffy on it because we've heard literally nothing, and I think the only reason people are talking about it right now is because it's like, well, it's been a whole year since we last heard about it. Got to show something. Because other than that, like no one has
Yeah.
talked about it this whole time. So it's like, is it a game that's like still super far away? Is it actually closer than we thought? It's kind of hard to make a real judge on that because we've heard literally nothing. Like if maybe we had a report sometime earlier this year, it's like, yeah, Avowed is on track. We're gonna, hopefully get it out by sometime next year, or just something. Like it would have a better idea of it. But we got literally nothing to work on.
Yeah, no, I pretty much agree with you there. I think it's just that case of it's been long enough. I think we are going to start getting updates of those games that were shown off at that 2020 press conference all those years ago. Bench, I know you said that prediction was your own, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Dark, what's your long shot? Or you said your long shot, so I guess
Yeah, I
what's your
said my
bold
long shot, but this one can kind of go up there as well. I know that Xbox and Phil does want to start working with Square Enix more closely, and one thing that Phil has constantly mentioned over and over again is that he wants Final Fantasy XIV to come to Xbox. So I do think that at this showcase, he won't show anything, but he'll just be like, "Hey, it's gonna happen. Just give it time." Just something like that. Maybe he'll give
No
it a
trailer.
year. I mean, what trailer are you gonna give? I think he's just gonna come out and be like, "Yo, it's coming."
I hope so. It's a weird thing that it's not on
I
Xbox
mean,
already.
it makes sense, and they'll make so much money because Xbox is more multiplayer centric than PlayStation, and surprisingly, it has a very big MOBA and like open. I don't know how to I forgot the name of it. It has a big following for those type of games, like Elder Scrolls Online.
MMO?
Yeah, MMO. There you go. I couldn't think of
Okay,
it
yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah, you're fine.
So
Yeah,
I
no,
think
I
it'll
think
work, and it makes
it's a
sense.
it's surprising we haven't gotten it already. Like, it's a weird thing that they said it is gonna. Like, at least Phil said he really wants it to come, and they just have not been playing ball.
I think he said something like word for word, like he will happen before he leaves.
Yeah, something like that.
And I am
Oh, yeah, I
holding
do
for
remember
this.
that.
Man, what's your long shot?
Long shot. All right, I'm just gonna pull this completely out of my ass, but I think we're gonna get another Disney collab with Xbox, like how we got the Pirates Sea of Thieves that one year, and I think some Xbox thing is gonna have some kind of Disney like collab, or we're gonna get some Disney game made by an Xbox studio, like Double Fine making a new Epic Mickey. I don't know. That seems kind of
Okay,
crazy,
I'd be down
but
for that. Hang on,
that'd be
that's a
hot,
good
bro.
idea.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, wait.
so I think Disney is now in the realm of like, okay, we're just gonna give out our IPs to people we can trust, and I think after granted, I have I paid no attention to Sea of Thieves. I don't know if that Pirates expansion was a hit or not, but
It
it
was.
seems like it's working well for them, and they'll be like, here, go have fun with our IPs, just give us money, and maybe they saw the success of the Sea of Thieves and was like, okay, what else can we give you, Xbox? So
Yeah.
maybe we get some kind of like next version of that, because we know we have that Disney
Yeah.
Illusion Island coming out, but that's multi-platform. Actually, no, it's
I
only
did
on
it.
Switch. It's only on Switch.
No, it's Switch and PC. I think I can check real
So
quick. I will say. Do you think it could be Star Wars or Marvel?
could be, because they own all that. Granted, we're also getting Indiana Jones too. So
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's a Disney IP.
We
I
might
think.
see that.
Yeah, we could see
Yeah,
Indiana Jones.
I did have that as one of the things to look out for. Do you guys think we get Indiana
So
Jones?
yeah,
like,
Disney
There's a
and
movie coming up too. right?
Disney and
Some-
Xbox seem to be very cozy, so I could see something coming from them.
Okay. That's a good prediction. And also, Disney Illusion Island is on Switch, so it's
Yeah.
only Switch. You're very much right in that regard. I guess to go into my long shot, this one's like you were saying about fighting game for Xbox. I went in a different direction. I think it's going to be an Xbox fighting game akin to Super Smash Brothers. Basically,
Yeah.
they're PlayStation All Stars. Basically, they're going to show off the characters being Master Chief, Doom Guy, Blinks the Time Sweeper, and Conqueror. They're going to show that picture on stage, and Phil's going to go, "We're doing it," and then they move on and just never talk about it. I think I don't know. I would be down for it. Obviously, everyone makes the joke that Xbox doesn't have enough characters, but I think at this point they might be able to.
Conker and Banjo going at it, bro.
Like, hey, I think it could work if you get a good
Conker
studio.
got
And
hands, bro.
It could work,
Yeah.
but it would take some. It would take a lot of something to one differentiate itself from Smash and now even like multiverses.
Well, that's the
But-
thing. Do you really need to differentiate yourself that much from Smash? Like,
You do and you
PlayStation-
don't at the same time. Like you have to differentiate yourself so people just don't dog on you. Say this is just Smash Brothers with an Xbox skin, but you also don't want to deviate too much from it to where people are like, I just want to play Smash with Master Chief. So it's a
Exactly.
weird balancing act.
Hey, worst case
Yeah.
scenario, you just pull a multiverses and put the game in beta, and then when the game flops, they just say like, "Oh yeah, it's coming out of beta. We put that up for a bit."
Yeah, it was a beta. That's all.
Yeah, right.
That's a strange situation. Real quick, our friend of the show, Fusion, did throw in his predictions as well. Locks, he thinks Silk Song is going to be shown off here. New gameplay trailer and ends with an October 31st release date. How do you guys feel about that?
That is very specific.
Yeah, really.
I mean, I
think-
definitely think it'd be there.
Oh yeah, for sure. The question is that
Yeah.
date. Does that sound good to you?
Where did he get that date from?
I don't know, man. He likes Halloween. Hollow Knight is
mean-
a Halloween game.
I mean, yeah, I can see it.
I think it could be here. I think it's gonna be here. October 31st. That's probably what I would predict as well. At least October. I would say that.
Yeah, I would predict the month. I wouldn't pick a date. That's like needle in haystack.
Yeah. Yeah. He's crazy like that, man. Then another thing he says, Hellblade 2 gets a 7-minute gameplay demo with a February 2024 release date. Obviously, a lot of the rumors are saying that it's going to be 2023, like it's going to be right there with Starfield at the end. But Fusion seems to think that Hellblade is actually going to get delayed out of this year into 2024. How do you guys feel?
I think it's this year, either this or about. But I do agree that they will show a chunky amount of footage for it.
Yeah, like a big gameplay presentation, really show what they learned from Hellblade 1. I would agree with the gameplay. What about you, Bench? How do you feel about Hellblade's chances to be here?
Oh yeah, that's a lock. I think.
You think it's going to be this year or next year?
I think it'll. I don't know. Could be early next year. Could be very late this year. I think it depends when Forza falls.
Yeah,
If
I had
that's
that.
like late October or November, Hellblade just won't hit this year.
You think they want to just like have Forza be their holiday game instead of Hellblade if it can't hit? You want?
I mean,
Like
yeah,
they
that's
try
what
to
they did with
transition it?
Horizon, right?
No, because
It wasn't
Halo
Halo thing?
hit the
Yeah.
same year. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, Halo.
Like,
I don't know
Xbox
if
has
they
no
want-
problem having massive games
No,
like back to back.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Not about that, but I think Hellblade is a game they want to get all the flowers at award shows because they haven't done that before, and I don't know if they would want to release that in December.
and it's going to be a tough year for them if they want this year to be the one where they try to get an award
Like, I'm
show.
not saying award show is all that, but I think in their mind, I mean, they have never
Yeah.
won.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean.
They
It's-
never
it's
would
always-
not have to go up against Breath of the Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, I feel bad for them in that regard. I guess. Yeah, I honestly do think it's going to be this year. I think it's going to be a November title, like early November. Obviously, that's a lot of wishful thinking. But I do think Hellblade's definitely going to be one of the centerpieces of this showcase. Fusion also hit me with a couple of long shots. One long shot Perfect Dark gameplay trailer with no release date. It's over 3 minutes and shows actual gameplay. I love the long shot part is that it shows gameplay.
I think that a long shot.
Yeah, that feels like a long shot, honestly, to me. Just, I don't know. That game just feels like it's far off. Moon, how do you feel?
Yeah, it feels too far off, and if it is there, it's going to be a brief tease of like. Granted, they said no CGI trailers, but it's probably going to be a heavily edited like gameplay trailer, like borderline half CGI, half gameplay.
It'll
Maybe
be a
like a cut,
cutscene.
maybe like a cutscene. Yeah, it's like that's a big if. Like even if it shows up, like the biggest if is if it even shows up.
I feel like at most, if you're gonna get Perfect Dark, they're gonna show if it's gonna be a first person or a third person game, because I feel like
Maybe they
that
should
still
have
has
like in-game models or something.
Yeah, like just a showcase of like what the game would look like, an in-engine trailer, I guess, something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Perfect Dark's going to be here, but that's why it's Fusion's long shot. And he also wanted to throw out IO Interactive reveal their new fantasy RPG IP with a non-CGI trailer. I cannot see this being.
I don't know.
It was like a game called Project Dragon, if I remember. This was a couple years back. Basically, IO working on something fantasy-wise. I can't imagine they would show this because they have 007 still. That's the more interesting title to me, like if that's going to be here.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, that one was very much like a random teaser, I think, on Twitter. They just dropped it. I can't really imagine it would be here yet. I think it's too early. And if the thing is, if it's going to be shown, it's going to be a CGI trailer, and Xbox already told us no CGI trailers, so I just can't imagine it being here.
Yeah.
And I really quickly wanted to go through like the rest of the studios, just like a quick, temperature check to see like what we feel about the rest of everything here. The first one, Contraband, if you guys remember, this is Avalanche Games' new studio, not new studio, new game. Developers of Just Cause and whatnot. Do you guys think we see it here?
I could see it.
Could see it. Like it's been long enough since its original reveal of just these very basic CGI trailers. So hopefully they have something.
Yeah. I think it's definitely good. And maybe not definite, but like I think this is kind of a thing where we kind of need to see this game sooner or later. We don't know anything about it other than, from what I remember, survival. I think that's what they said. Not 100% though. Do not quote me on that. And then next, I wanted to go over Forza Motorsport. Do you guys think we get a date? And if so, like, what's the date?
I think it's guaranteed we're getting a date.
Yeah.
What do you think
If we don't get a date, there's something up.
No, I'm pretty sure we're getting a date. It depends on when Starfield drops. Because I feel like Forza feels like a summer game, to be honest.
Well, we know what Starfield's already it's September.
Oh,
I think Forza's October.
Yeah, same.
No, I think Forza might they might shadow drop Forza.
They are not shadow dropping Forza.
Well, not shadow drop in the sense that it's gonna drop in like a month or two. I can see it coming out before Starfield.
Like a July, August.
Yeah.
And what do you think the date would be?
I just want to see. I would like that. Sorry. I kind of like that idea of like a not technically a shadow drop, but a shadow like a quick drop of it, like being July, August, just for the mass hysteria that would cause. Because Forza is pretty big in certain groups, and just be like a new Forza just right around the corner would be kind of fun to watch, even though I have no interest in the game.
I guess now there's a lot of stuff here. I'm just gonna quickly run through the list. Just quick yeses or nos. That's basically all I ask. State of Decay 3. Do we see it?
No.
No.
Yes.
The Coalition's new game, Gears Collection or Gears 6?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you think it's here?
Mm-hmm. I think we're gonna see Gears. I'm not gonna think it's their new game. I think we're gonna see Gears of War 6 teaser.
Oh man, that'd be cool. I like it's. I mean,
It's
teaser.
about
They said
time.
no CGI though. Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh, but if it's not a teaser, we gotta see a full-blown trailer then.
Do you think we see a Gears collection?
Yeah, that's
I
more
don't
interesting.
know about that. Like,
That's kind of weird rumor
I was
for a while.
thinking, like, there's a lot of yes and no's. If they do it, it'll be amazing. But I think Gears of War 6 is gonna be shown first.
What about Arcane? Developers of Redfall.
No, I don't think we see. I don't think they even mentioned Redfall. I think if they were going to originally, that's been pulled.
If they put the 60 FPS trailer, I swear to God.
They're gonna say we're putting out the We Fixed It edition.
Yeah,
Nope.
right. Double Fine Productions. They actually teased a couple of brand new games coming to Game Pass soon. Do you think we see them?
I can see it.
Yeah, I think we see a good amount of Game Pass news.
Yeah, Sam. I think we see them for sure. This is the one very close to my heart. Id Software. Do we see their next game?
Doom.
I think
That would get
their next is
massive for me.
Quake. I don't think, but I don't think it's here.
I want their new game so badly. It's been a while since the Doom Eternal DLC. I think I've been hearing rumors of Quake. That'd be cool, but like, I feel like I'd rather just get a new Doom game at that point. In Exile. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, never mind. You go.
Oh no, go ahead. I was gonna change topics.
I think their next game's Quake, but I don't think it's here. Maybe at like a Quake Con.
Yeah,
Yep.
use that name, the QuakeCon, reveal new Quake. That'd be cool. In Exile, if you guys remember, Wasteland 3 developer. Apparently, I've been hearing a lot of reports recently. Their new game is coming along. It's going to be Western RPG, and apparently based on an established IP. Any thoughts on that?
Very curious.
Cowboys and Aliens.
I have no idea.
I
don't know why that was the first thing that popped into my head.
Cowboys. I was confused.
He was
It's
ready
like
for
that's
that.
yeah. He's just thinking about Cowboys versus Aliens, man.
No, you said it was. Well, you went from Wasteland, and then you went to established IP, and somehow my brain went from Wasteland to Cowboys and Aliens because that was in a Wasteland.
I could see. I've been hearing rumors of it working on a Fallout game or a Fallout remaster. You guys think there's any credence to that?
Yeah, I think we'll see something in regards to that.
Yeah, because the older Fallout games aren't on Game Pass on console, right?
On console, no. I think they're on.
Yeah,
PC.
so they could remake them because they want to get like the whole series on Game Pass.
That'd be cool. Machine games. We talked a bit about Indiana Jones. We think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's
think it's a
possible,
good thing.
especially with like the new movie and stuff.
Yeah.
I think they want to show something.
Dark, what about you?
I think there's a good chance that'll be there.
Now, we do know that there is like a weird gap between Wolfenstein 2 and what's it called? The
Youngblood?
machine. Oh no, Youngblood. Between Youngblood and the Indiana Jones reveal, kind of they just like tease it on Twitter and they said it started development. They had to have been working on something in that time. Do you think it's Wolfenstein 3? Do we finally see Wolfenstein 3, or is that just not exist?
No, because isn't there with that team working on Indiana Jones?
Well, yeah, but like they can work on multiple projects. But like, do you think it doesn't exist?
I don't
Probably
think it
exists as like an early pre-production.
Oh, so you think it's after Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I hope so. Wolfenstein 2 is so amazing. Rare, obviously, Sea of Thieves. I think Sea of Thieves are going to get an update, obviously. Everwild, though, do you think we see that?
I can see it.
I just don't see it. I feel like that game is basically not exist. I don't know. Because they showed it off.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I think Everwild is something. I don't know. I don't think it shows up though. Do they even know what that game is yet?
Apparently, from what we've heard of Andy Robinson over at VGC, it's more similar to Viva Pinata, which I don't know what to do with that information. I'll be honest with you guys.
Let's bring back Viva Pinata.
Man, they just don't care about Viva Pinata the same way we do.
I hate it here.
Tango Gameworks, obviously they just released Hi-Fi Rush. Do you think there's any credence to those DLC rumors? We see anything there?
I think it's
there's a
possible.
decent chance.
It's a game that's very easy to like add. Not easy, but you have to develop them. But like you can fit new missions in it. I'd assume.
Agreed.
It's a very good game.
Oh yeah, I mean Hi-Fi Rush. That's definitely a highlight of the year so far. And then last thing I just want to go over, ZeniMax Online Studios. Obviously, the developers of Elder Scrolls Online. We've been hearing rumors that they're working on a new IP, a big Western RPG. Do you think we see that here?
Fallout Online.
Oh my God! Please don't. We got Fallout Online.
Oh yeah,
76. Yeah.
I think
wait,
we're
no.
just gonna see.
I think we're gonna see like true like MMO Fallout Online if they do this.
Yeah. Oh no. I don't know. Apparently, it's more fantasy based. I
I
think.
think we
I don't
just
know.
see Elder Scrolls Online again from their new DLC.
Yeah. I mean, they have such a good like content rollout with that game, so maybe they don't want to disrupt that yet. But yeah, that's the Xbox show. If you guys have any last minute predictions, last minute things you want to bring up,
No, that was
okay.
about it.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, Atlas kind of ruined my whole prediction
For
by
Persona.
themselves. Yeah,
I mean, speaking of
I guess.
Atlas, nobody mentioned it. S&T ports I can see happening. There's been
SMT
rumors
ports.
about
Oh
it.
yeah, we heard about this. Yeah, I think that's probably gonna happen. Real quick, I guess rate your guys' excitement. I'm pretty much at like a 7, like
I'm at like an 8.
moderately.
Yeah, I'm like at an 8.
I'm
Just
at an 8 or
because,
a 9. I'm
yeah,
really
like 8.
upset I can't watch it, but I think it's gonna. This is the perfect time for them to swoop in with something very good. After a
Agreed.
lot of people disappointed in Sony, like Sony gave them this opportunity because even if they had a really good show and Sony had a good PlayStation showcase, it would have been people would have seen it as fine. But Sony served them up the perfect opportunity to really clear the name a little bit. And if they do that, I think it's going to be very solid.
It's an important show for them. I think this is kind of like a showcase to show like what does the rest of your year look like? What does your future look like? You know, reinstall faith in Xbox fans after what happened with He Who Shall Not Be Named. But
Well, just it's also just like establishing because everyone's kind of watching Xbox. Like, what are you doing now that you own Bethesda? Now that you're trying to own Activision, like, what can we expect from Xbox going forward? I think this is like one of the first steps to showing like how is Xbox handling all this going into the future. And, like, this is a transformative period of time for Xbox right now. So everyone's like real curious, like how they handle everything, and this should be a good
exactly.
opportunity for them to show off what their game strategy is. Obviously, they had a good idea last year with the whole 12 months thing, and I don't know if you want to blame COVID or other things or maybe a mixture of everything, but clearly that is now not working out for them. So they said they dumped that idea. There's not going to be a kind of promise of everything here is going to be out within the next 12 months.
Yeah, I'm excited for the Xbox show. And I guess real quick, Starfield Direct. You guys excited for that one? I'm extremely
Oh,
excited.
very much so.
This needs to be
Yeah.
good. I want Starfield to be good more than
Okay.
anything.
It will not be 60 FPS. They'll confirm that there.
I think it needs to be 60 FPS. I think
It's
they'd
not going
be
to be
foolish
60.
to not. I think it's 60. They have
I
to.
think people need to stop complaining that games are not 60 FPS.
I don't know, man.
I
want games to be
agree.
60 FPS. I want games to be 60 FPS though.
People, I don't remember where I saw it described, but at the beginning of the generation, we had a lot more 60 FPS games, but now developers are really getting their hands on the hardware. Just like with like the PS4, they're going to push it to its limits, and we're just going to have more 30 FPS only games. And honestly, as someone who frames doesn't bother like at all, I'm fine with that. As long as it's a stable 30, I'm fine.
Yeah, but I really want 60 is what I'm saying here.
I can see it happening.
I want it, but like it's not going to be a deal breaker. Like I'm going to play it no matter what. Moon, do you think it's 60?
No, because that just feels like me having like clairvoyance of just seeing into the future and just seeing all those Xboxes, Doom, Starfield, their headliner game is not 60 FPS. Like, I just feel like that's just an inevitability. And I, with a game like that, it feels like they wanted to, but then as they got closer to like finalizing the game, they're like, this just isn't possible for a steady 60 FPS, or it drops too much, or they rather just have a solid 30 than try to get 60 and have it backfire on them when Digital Foundry comes out and says, yeah, this ain't 60.
Yeah, I mean, I will say it's not a deal breaker, and especially it's a lot less important for this game to be 60 than something like Redfall, where that's an FPS. You know, and with the case of Starfield, like yeah, FPS, but also that's much more Western RPG focused than like straight up shooting. So I mean, it's not going to be a deal breaker, but I really do think they need it to be a 60 FPS, just personally. But that's the Xbox showcase. We're obviously very excited to see what Microsoft has cooking. We'll move into Ubisoft. We don't have much to say here. I guess just across the table, like, what do you guys think Ubisoft's going to show here? You know, any surprises? Dark, I'm going to start over with you.
Off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything. I would like to see more of whatchamacallit, The new Assassin's Creed. Besides that, that's about it.
Mirage.
Yeah, it looks
Oh.
like a return to form. So I'm curious about that.
Yeah, Sam. Bench, how about you? You got any predictions for what's going to be here?
I honestly don't play a whole lot of Ubisoft games. I'd want to see the Star Wars rumored game, but now that Prince of Persia has been announced, I doubt we see that. So I don't have much expectations or anything. I think what's announced, we know is coming from them, is all that's going to be there. I don't think we'll have any surprises.
Well, you think the Prince of Persia and the Star Wars announcement are like tangentially tied? Like, one couldn't have been announced.
No, because we know people said like they have one like unannounced game for the year on their like physical reporting.
The one major
and
game.
We now know what that is, and it was rumored maybe that's the Star Wars game, so maybe that'll put a minute forward, but now it's definitely not. So I don't have much of an interest in the show.
Do you think it's going to be like a thing where they don't want to reveal it now, the Star Wars game now, because they already have their year
pretty sure
lined up?
Just early. I think it's just early.
Yeah, I'd probably say
it's only been like a year or two, and if it's a big open world game, it'll take far longer than that.
What about you, Moon? How are you feeling about this Ubisoft show?
It's kind of hard to get too excited for because a lot of the franchises that I do like from Ubisoft aren't going to be here, at least that we know of. But I'm kind of still interested about that game we discussed a couple weeks ago about that Immortals Phoenix Rising sequel that's like Polynesian. So that could be interesting if they've upped that game to be a little bit more interesting. So it would be a little interested to check that out.
Yeah, I heard about that rumor. I forgot about that. What you think that's gonna? Well, obviously it's not gonna be this year. Have they said it's this year? I forget.
No, I doubt it. Probably sometime next year. They show it off. They would reveal it here.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of lie there with you guys. I don't really have much expectations for this showcase. I think at most, like the biggest deal that could come out of this is the Ubisoft massive Star Wars game. I think that's at the highest, like biggest deal. But I'm right there with Bench though that I think this game is early. If anything, it'll be a title reveal, very similar to how they revealed that Avatar game. Which, by the way, Avatar game. Do you guys think?
I forgot about the Avatar game.
I've only watched the first Avatar, so I don't have much of an interest in it. It'll definitely be like a Far Cry situation where I pick it up on sale and like never play it, but I'll buy it eventually.
You think it's here?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we get a date. I think we get in-depth gameplay and stuff. I think it's here. I think it's like the big showrunner.
Yeah, I could see that because it should be probably very soon.
So, our big resident Ubisoft fan, Fusion, good friend of the show. Well, actually, not even friend of the show. He's one of the hosts. He's literally one of the hosts.
Now, he's a friend of the show.
Yeah, really. He dropped his own predictions, and let me tell you guys, these are something. We'll start like the calmest prediction. AC Mirage has an impressive gameplay chunk. We know Mirage is going to be
impressive.
Impressive is the interesting detail there. I mean, to me, it's just going to look like another Assassin's Creed game. I don't know. Return to form, yeah, but yeah, just an Assassin's Creed game. He's also of the kind that he thinks the Star Wars game is going to be here. He's fully predicting that. He believes that it will be here. We already talked enough about it. I don't think it's going to be here. I think it's too early. But drop this bomb on me. The showcase ends with Beyond Good and Evil 2 gameplay.
Oh, Fusion.
How do we tell them? This game does not exist.
First, we have to tell them that game doesn't actually exist.
Yeah.
I mean, that game's just going through. It's so weird. That game, it was revealed in like the late 2000s, around like 2008, and then went into development hell. No one talked about it. And then it came back around like E3 2018. And they were like, "Yo, guys, it's coming back." Yeah, they asked for community help from Hit Record. I remember that. And then they went silent again. And at this point, I just don't think this game ever comes out.
It's Skull and Bones here.
Oh yeah, Skull and Bones.
That was their big thing last year.
That'd be funny if they didn't show it. I kind of hope.
I'm very interested to see what this game becomes.
I'm gonna tell you what it's gonna become. It's gonna become a 60 on Metacritic. This game's not gonna be good.
When do you think it comes out, though? Do we have a date? I think they just like.
They're just gonna force it out this year.
I don't think it's this year. I think it's a full year delay until like March of next year.
March of next year. I mean, at that, what do you have?
Like
Then it
March
has,
of
You can't
then it
next
has
fix
to
it.
fight Final Fantasy Rebirth and Persona 3 Reload. Good luck.
I don't think they.
I think it'll
Fair.
fight pretty handily. I don't know if those were the two games I would have been like terrified of. I mean, I don't know.
got this.
I think it's sometime next year, early.
Anyway, Dark, you think we see Skull and Bones here?
I feel like the coin flip. But if we do see it, the release date, I don't think there's gonna even be a date.
Dude, this is the game I'm most pessimistic of. I think it's gonna come out and it's gonna be garbage. I think it's gonna be like they're gonna force it on like September or something. I just can't imagine it being a good game.
Oh, it'll be bad, but I think it'll just be next year. 'Cause, I mean, they already have so much.
That's fair.
There's like October, and they have something in January. So
Do they?
and there's probably Avatar. I don't even think's this year. I think that's next year.
No, they said Avatar is like at least of the fiscal quarter. Kind of
Yeah,
just
so
depends on
I
when it
think it's
lands.
early next year, maybe February or March. I don't know, but I don't think it's this year. I think Avatar is the game they want to hit, so they want to take their time with it.
I guess I'll just throw on some random stuff. Do you guys think we get anything from like Assassin's Creed Infinity, Red, Hex, any of that stuff?
Infinity possibly, because they're like, here's our new live service, Assassin's Creed. I know you've been waiting for that.
I don't think so.
That is,
I think we have some sort of Assassin's Creed event after Mirage comes out.
I'd say that's a fair prediction, actually. And then what's it called? Splinter Cell or Prince of Persia remake? One of the remakes.
No.
No, there's the focus
Sure.
on Lost Crown.
Yeah, agreed. And even that Splinter Cell, like that's a ways off. And then anything Division, at most an update, I would guess.
Probably.
Probably.
There's that mobile game that just kind of stopped talking about it. That was a weird situation. And I guess that's really it. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. I guess Bench was talking about he thinks it's next year. Dark Moon. What do you guys think about release date with that game?
I can see it drop possibly at the end of this year.
Yeah, it's very
I
possible
don't
it
think
could go
everybody-
either way.
I think it's November. I think I'll take that shot in the dark. But yeah, I mean that's Ubisoft show. I guess like last thing, like out of 1 to 10, how do you guys feel in excitement? Because I'm at a 4. I could care less.
Yeah,
I'm at a 0. I'm not even gonna like watch it or anything.
Like 5, because I'm just like, you could reveal something I'm interested in, but so far I don't know about anything interesting. So I'll say 5.
Dark, what about you?
I like a 3.
I mean, the one thing that could reveal is interesting to me is Rayman. That's never happening.
That's a
You are funny.
How do we tell?
I don't know, man.
Stars.
A man can dream. A man can dream. All right. Well, that's our big topic of the show. We'll transition to what we've been playing, but we've been running pretty long this episode, so I
Yeah,
think
we're over
kinda,
2 hours already.
Yeah, let's run through this very quickly. I'll just start. Diablo 4, playing a lot of that one. It is very, very good. Me and Bench talked enough about it. Like, go play it. It's worth playing. I also been playing Pikmin, the original Pikmin. Always a franchise I've missed out on. That game was awesome. Like, I already started Pikmin 2. I'm excited to run through the franchise. I think Pikmin 4 is definitely going to be a day one cop for me. It's just Pikmin 2 already, like, really expanding upon the things that I already liked about the first game. I've been having the time of my life playing through this franchise that I missed out on. So I'm going to hopefully have some more updated thoughts when I go through the whole franchise. And also, Moon, you've also been playing this Lies of P demo. How did you think? So I'm like the big Souls guy. I know this is like one of your first Souls games. I want to start with you.
I haven't finished it. I kind of started it, got a little far in, died, went all the way back, said fuck, did it again. Got a little bit farther, then died again. I said, okay, I'm feeling too sick to continue, so I stopped playing. So I'm gonna try to at least finish the demo. But it's interesting so far. But it's definitely all the things of a Souls game where I'm just like, oh yeah, I got to do this. I don't know. Maybe you can enlighten me, but is the dodge roll thing like just not very
Okay, I need
good
to
for
talk
you
about this.
here?
So here's the thing. I think this game is awesome. Gameplay wise, it's very fun. That is the one sticking thing for me. The dodge in this game is so like the distance is
Unresponsive.
it's just the distance is so tiny. Like you barely feel like you're dodging at that point. You know, you look at it like compared to Bloodborne, the dodge is so fast, so fluid. And then you look at this game, like I think everything else is perfect except the dodge. So that's why I'm pretty much just playing this game like Sekiro. I'm just parrying everything.
Oh, there's a parry? I didn't even know there was a
Yeah.
parry.
If an enemy attacks you, you get a cool parry animation. Like if you guard, it's really cool.
Why didn't the
But
game tell me this?
they tell you later on. I don't think you got to that point.
Probably not.
I didn't finish the demo, full sincerity, but I did beat
Apparently,
like
it's a
the
pretty
first
lengthy
boss.
demo from what people have said.
Yeah, I was surprised. I'm about like 30 minutes into it. But yeah, it was a pretty good demo, at least so far of what I played. I'm hoping to beat it tonight. I hope this game is good. It's coming out pretty soon. I just really hope they fix that dodge, because that is definitely one of the weakest aspects of it. Moving on, Dark Bench, both of you have been playing more SF6. Any updated thoughts in that regard?
Street Fighter 6 is great.
Yeah, the game's incredible. I've been really spending a lot of time in training.
Who's y'all's mains?
Cammy.
Right now it's Yuri, but I am transitioning into Cammy. Just because of ease of use and stuff.
I love Cammy. She's awesome. How's Guile in that game? Does he go?
Oh, he's really strong actually.
Oh, dude, I want to play him. That's the one. That's like the one Street Fighter character I like playing is Guile. And Dark, go ahead, Ben.
I've also been playing some Octopath Traveler 2. I picked that up after I put it down like a couple months ago, about 20 hours in. Going to play that over the next 2 weeks while I'm away, and continues to be pretty good. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, that's a game I really need to get back to. I famously dropped it, but I do plan on coming back to it one of these days. Dark, you've also been playing Persona 3.
Yeah, I started it up. Like today actually, I started it up just because of the hype of the announcement. Yeah, not much to say besides they fixed the audio.
That's good to hear. So, what was the issue with the audio? Just a quick breakthrough.
So I'm not sure if this applied for everybody, but I played it back when it first came out on Xbox and through Game Pass, and the audio was like, it was terrible. It was like sentences were getting cut off like mid sentence. What else? It was choppy in some areas. You can hear echoes. Playing it now, like this is months after, it seems fine. But keep in mind, I only played like an hour today, so it could get worse. But who knows?
I mean, I hope that's good to hear that the audio is at least fixed for the most part, from what we can hear. I guess Moon, just to round it off with you, how's Persona 4 Golden going?
Good. I'm actually right at the final boss. But I thought I could beat it before this podcast, but someone said, no, you need to savor that ending. Wait until after the podcast.
That someone is a pretty smart guy, from what I hear.
All
You'll
right.
thank me later.
But yeah, so I'm just about to beat Persona 4. Then I think I'll take a JRPG break because I thought about starting some other ones, but then I realized, oh yeah, Final Fantasy 16 is in 2 weeks, so I don't want to get involved in another one. So I'm going to try to clean up some of the games I have lingering around. Maybe start Amnesia because I don't think that's a very long game.
Yeah, that's a good one to choose.
And I just looked it up. The Liza P demo is roughly around 2 hours long.
Wow. Okay, well, I'll try to finish that up for the next episode.
That's a chunky demo.
Okay. Well, I guess that's everything we've been playing. Very long episode today. Moon, I'm going to transition it to you to do outros.
Yeah, so I don't want to hold on to this too long. This is probably our longest episode and will be for probably a long time. Like, I don't even think the wrap-up will be as long as this. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this extra length podcast, and probably won't do another one like this until next year. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow on YouTube and Spotify. And we'll see you guys after the big hurrah of the Xbox Showcase and Ubisoft conference. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Bye.
You have a good one, everyone.